Thabiso Goba reports.
In 2024, the Tshwane Metro Police Department advertised a tender looking for security companies to protect municipal infrastructure for a period of 3 years. According to evidence before the Madla Commission, TMPD's Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini drew up a list of 7 preferred companies he allegedly received from the EFF. The list was passed on to Sergeant Nkosi, who then forwarded it to the municipality's Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi. On Tuesday, Nkosi testified he was close to the Metro's CFO. Nkosi then sent the CFO 2 of his preferred companies, Ngapesheya, which was owned by his brother, and El Shaddai Security Services. The CFO responded to Nkosi by saying he had been discussing the matter with the EFF and Action SA. The testimony continues today. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Lawyer William Booth says his client, Bulgarian fugitive Stanislav Staminov, is not a flight risk and should be granted bail. Staminov wants to be released pending his extradition to Romania, where he faces a 16-year sentence for drug trafficking. He was sentenced in absentia in 2009 and an Interpol red notice was issued in 2018. Staminov has lived in South Africa for over a decade and he works as a personal trainer. Ntutu Zelonena reports.
Stanislav Staminov appeared in the Wynberg Magistrates Court yesterday, but bail proceedings were postponed, allowing further consultation with his legal team on aspects raised by the prosecution. The state argues his South African residency granted in 2019 was obtained fraudulently, alleging he failed to disclose his conviction. Booth says there's lots of confusion around the Romanian conviction and sentencing.
It seems he was held in custody, then he was convicted and sentenced in his absence. That's the allegation. How that would happen is a complete mystery to me. If he was in custody, well, then he should have been there at the time the conviction and the sentencing took place.
Ndutu Zelonene, Eyewitness News.
And U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to destroy Iran's key South Pass gas field if there are further attacks against Qatar's main gas plant. Trump confirmed on his Truth Social platform that Israel struck the field, but says the United States knew nothing of the attack, which sparked Iran to launch an attack on Qatar's Ras Laffan facility. Qatar says an Iranian missile strike caused extensive damage at its main gas facility, prompting Doha to expel 2 Iranian diplomats. Saudi Arabia also says it intercepted drones targeting energy infrastructure in the east, while debris from a ballistic missile landed near a refinery south of Riyadh. Saudi Foreign Affairs Minister Faisal bin Farhan bin Abdullah says there will be consequences for Iran's attack.
But what I care about now is that the attacks on my country and on my neighboring countries that are not involved in this conflict end. That's all I'm interested in. And we're going to use every lever we have, political, economic, diplomatic, and elsewise, to get these attacks to stop.
Gold is trading at $4,838.24 an ounce. The rand is at $16.99 to the dollar, $22.54 to the pound, $19.49 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $111.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South right after Rivonia Road. An accident has been reported there. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. If you're traveling in the Alexandra area, we still have got queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is between Modderfontein Road and Marlborough Drive.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says he has enough evidence to get suspended Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya arrested and charged for allegedly colluding with criminals.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
9 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning. The 702 open line starts right now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. So, the ad hoc committee is done with its witnesses, right? They're now going to start with like deliberations, going from witness to witness and what's been revealed in the committee, and then that will culminate in a report with findings. Yesterday, the KZN Police Commissioner Nkosi Nkosi returned to the committee as a final witness, having been the first witness as well. In fact, having been the man who opened this can of worms, which have revealed the rot in the SAPS, and the country really owes him a lot for that. So now that the ad hoc committee is done with its witnesses, I would like to know what your reflections on the work of this committee are. Do you think the committee has helped reveal some really important things about corruption in the SAPS? Are you happy with how the politicians have carried themselves and run this committee? I'd like you to give us a call on 011-883-0702. You can send a WhatsApp as well. I must say, I think the committee speaking to Ket Matlala was quite important. I don't think he was necessarily honest. I don't think the committee itself was well prepared to take him to task. But I understand, because the committee doesn't have the investigative capacity that the Madlanga Commission has. I also do think that there has been a lot of political grandstanding, which I also get, because that's a political platform, right? But I don't like how some of the witnesses have been treated by the members of parliament in that committee. I mean, the disrespect and the hatred for some witnesses was palpable. So what do you think of the work of the ad hoc committee and what they've managed to do so far? Anything that you thought that was quite a pivotal moment in the committee? And how have the hearings been conducted, and how have they helped us understand more about the criminal justice system and the rot that exists within? I'm going to play you some of the clips of Nkosi Nkosi and what he had to say yesterday as the last witness. But please, give me your reflections. Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. At 10 o'clock, we are going to do the hanging out feature. And today, we'll be hanging out with legendary actor Kenneth Nkosi. He has had a career spanning about 3 decades now. He's best known for his hilarious roles in Mad Buddies. What else? There was Paradise Stop and other productions like Gazlam. He was on Tsotsi as well, Jerusalem, White Wedding, District 9. Can go on and on. Isidingo, Saints, Sinners and Settlers, and many more. And we're going to get to know him better between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do the Thursday dialogue. And I really want us to just pause today and have a conversation about the drama that's been unfolding around Justice Khampempe and the commission she has been chairing, looking at whether there was political interference in the prosecution of TRC cases. How do you explain the fact that 30 years later, there's still no accountability emanating from the outcome of the TRC? You can literally point to a few cases. TRC commissioners at some point even had to write a letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa asking why government has failed to implement the recommendations of the TRC Commission. So that failure of the NPA to prosecute TRC-related crimes really remains a sore point for many families and struggle activists who died at the hands of apartheid security forces. And this has led to all sorts of conspiracy theories. That's why some people have been asking whether there was some secret deal of sorts that the ANC struck with the National Party. Who put pressure on Vusi Pikoli when he was the head of the NPA? Remember, he detailed how certain members of the Mbeki administration apparently tried to block the prosecution of apartheid-era atrocities. So this commission, chaired by Justice Khampempe, was set up to answer that one question. Where apartheid-era prosecutions deliberately blocked by the democratic government that was supposed to deliver them. Now, the former presidents, Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma, want Sisi Khampepe to be removed as the chair of that commission. They have alleged that her background on the TRC and at the National Prosecuting Authority creates a material conflict of interest. Their legal teams have argued she cannot fairly preside over an inquiry into a process in which she was directly involved. Remember, in 1995, what they have said is that Khampepe was appointed by Nelson Mandela as the TRC commissioner. The next year, she was appointed to the TRC's Amnesty Committee. She went on to serve as the Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, and the commission she now chairs is investigating what happened to TRC cases during precisely that period. And these are some of the things that have been said by the lawyers representing the former presidents to prove their point that she is conflicted here. And here's where maybe it gets even more pointed. They have argued that Khampepe was part of the panel that refused amnesty applications brought by several ANC members, including the former presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. And both of them, as you can imagine, were probably going to be expected to testify at the commission. And they both want her to be removed. What makes this even more tricky is that the president has told the court that had he been aware of the allegations against Khampepe, he would not have appointed her. So he filed papers saying he would not oppose her removal if the court ordered it. And of course, the first question you're asking is, why did the president not know that Khampepe was involved in the TRC commission at some point? Forget whether or not this puts her in a position of conflict of interest, but if the president now says, okay, I'm willing to abide by whatever judgment of the court, were you not aware? Do you not do background checks? I mean, we've been here before, haven't we? Where people get appointed to positions and then things get revealed much later. Remember, even with the former justice minister, we're going to be speaking to her, in fact, just after 10 o'clock, just after 11 o'clock, Thembi Simelane on Kadimeng, and the VBS matter. Because the president had to move her from the Justice Department to, where did she go? Human Settlements Department. Did they not know? Like, do you not do backgrounds on people that you appoint to these key positions? And maybe their argument is it was up to her to declare that conflict of interest. So we're going to try and make sense of this on our Thursday dialogue today. And we'll also give you some answers. Remember yesterday we spoke about that CAF's decision, the appeals board. I see Petrus Motsepe, the president of CAF, has now responded. I'm going to speak to his spokesperson as well at 11:30. I'm going to bring in a journalist in Senegal who's going to tell us how the country and even its sports organizations have responded to that judgment. So that's what's coming up as well on our Thursday dialogue. So those are the two key issues we're going to be discussing today. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, 702 lenders. Good morning, Clement. Kanit, I think it's been wonderful watching the two states of the two arms of government dealing with one problem but differently. I think it's been fabulous. I think for me, one of the biggest things that every single member of the committee saw was how they have failed in their duty to hold those that are reporting to them accountable. And the real test of how great this process would be in their reporting and in their ability to look within to see how what we call accountability fails. I'm so grateful. I think it's been beautiful. And you don't expect the committee to be the same as the commission for obvious reasons, right? Technical aspects of the matter, but also the areas of strength. From my perspective, our country needed this. And it would be amazing if they do the same for health, would it not? Thank you so much. This is Emma from Pretoria.
Yeah, Emma, I agree. And maybe this is what the country needs. So instead of the dialogue, where's the dialogue? Remember the national dialogue? Where is that now? I think there was a preparatory meetings taking place, and then Is it still going to happen this year before the elections? Is it going to be delayed further? Anyway, the point I'm making, Emma, is maybe this is actually what we need. It's almost like when you go to a therapist and one of the things you want to do there is to vent and to reveal what you've been concerned about and what's been working, what's not working, and you are vulnerable with your therapist. And we've needed this because now we understand the weaknesses, we understand the strengths, we understand the rot much better. And maybe this is what we need instead of the dialogue, don't we? Maybe we need an inquiry into the health. Maybe another inquiry into something else. Maybe those are what we need. Yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but it's also going to reveal a lot and may help some of the good officers we have to go after those that are corrupt. Because it's not just the SAPS that is infiltrated. It would be naive of us to think this is the only organization that is compromised. Oh no, it is not. Tsepo, you calling us from Pretoria. What are your thoughts? Good morning. Hey, Tsepo.
For taking my call.
Sure, brother. Go ahead.
Yes. Look, Clement, I think it was quite interesting, having observed the Portfolio Committee as well as the Madlanga Commission. But my observation is that when it comes to the Portfolio Committee, I think the manner in which they've dealt with the other witnesses that have appeared before them and with General Nkosi, it was a bit different because with General Nkosi, they give him a time, to express his view, to express his position or his evidence. But with others, it was completely different. And what strikes me yesterday, it was when General Nkosi admitted that he met Omatlala in Durban.
Yes. And he didn't reveal that in the beginning, remember?
He didn't reveal that. Yes, he didn't reveal that in the beginning. And his position yesterday was that Omatlala, he was an informant. But I'm saying, Clement, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So General Sibia did mention that he met Nkosi at some point as well. And for the very same reason, it appears that members of parliament, they accepted General Nkosi meeting of Matlala, but it was a completely different story when General Sibia expresses the very same view. And the manner in which they express, even if at some point General Nkosi, he did not present any evidence, he rather at some point he will, not all his, I'm not saying all, he was not presenting evidence, but at some point he will play the man rather than play the ball, and a typical case in point was when he was dealing with the matter of a member of parliament. I think it's Mr. Adams. I think it's quite surprising that he played the man there rather than play the ball.
He says going to school is very important.
It is very important, something of that sort. Yes, I think he stooped a little bit below the belt by playing the man. So I find it very awkward and surprising the manner in which they will interact with him as opposed to other members or witnesses that appear before the committee. I think that's all I wanted to say.
Do you think that, Tsepo, they owed him that level of respect? Because as you can imagine, they think of him as a hero, and maybe rightly so, given what he has revealed. He took the bold step of holding a press briefing that revealed a lot today, which was very important for us as a country to understand. And maybe the committee feels we can't treat him the same as the other people that are, very much compromised, and there's a lot of evidence to that effect. Do you think they owed him that respect because of what he has done on the 6th of July last year?
No, Clement, I think that if that is the case, then it simply means that they've made a conclusion.
Yeah.
Then they have to give him that respect. Simply means that other people who come in there is formality, but they've already judged them. They are guilty of the charges of the accusation.
Yeah. In fact, Tsepo, he agreed with you himself. Let me play a clip. Thank you for your call in Pretoria, Tsepo. To your point, listen to what General Nkosi said about his reflections on how the committee has conducted its work.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm not a parliamentarian, so I will not necessarily, maybe it might be wrong for me to judge the proceedings, but indeed, Chair, I've been observing being worried at times on the posture and the attitude that I see on some of the members in Parliament that seems to prejudge things. My understanding is that the committee's job is to listen to evidence, probe, but not make conclusion on their own that certain things are wrong or certain individuals are wrong. So it is that which was a bit of a concern to me, because if you recall back onto the clips of those sittings, you would have found such instances. But other than that, I think it's been encouraging to see Parliament, especially this ad hoc committee, to work these long hours. And I must take my hat off from the committee members, because at times you'll go to the gym and you come back and you are still sitting, and you fall asleep, you wake up and you're still sitting. And I thought, no, never seen Parliament work this hard.
Yeah, that was his reaction, reflecting on the work of the committee so far. That listener also raised an issue about the KZN Police Commissioner meeting with Ket Matlala, and why the KZN Commissioner was not honest about that. Well, not honest, but he left out that detail in the beginning when he testified before the committee. And there are a lot of witnesses that have chosen to leave out certain details. I mean, even Shadrach Sibiya didn't tell us about the birthday party he had where Ket Matlala was there. Was it not Sintumule? Yeah, it was Sintumule, General Sintumule, who mentioned it, and then Sibiya then commented on it, was asked about it. So even in this case, when the KZN Police Commissioner first appeared before the ad hoc committee, and even at the Madlanga, if I'm not mistaken, he never mentioned that he's met with Ket Matlala before. And of course, he had his reasons. I think he met under the guise of, I'm going to help you with your contract. But actually, he wanted to get some information about Shadrach Sibiya and other corrupt, allegedly corrupt cops in the SAPS. But he was asked yesterday, why did you not tell us in the beginning about your meeting with Ket Matlala? This is how he dealt with that.
When I appeared before this ad hoc committee, I was presenting in the main the incidents that are prohibiting the police from executing their duties, where we believe the minister has enabled these people to block the police investigations. And of course, not the minister doing the bad things, but the people that are doing the bad things, police officers, and some of them within the entire value chain of justice system officials that are participating on this matter. The meeting of Ket Matlala, we did not see it as a need to present it, because it was a meeting that was helping the investigation to uncover some truth about that which the team in Gauteng was investigating. So Ket Matlala, when he met with me in that meeting, he was afraid of the people that he was talking about. And he made it clear that what he's sharing with me in a straight language, you will refer to as snitching to people. So he was giving out information that would have compromised his safety. So he was giving out information that if it were to come out, maybe his life and his family would be at risk. What I like, that's why we did not communicate. But what became evident to that is that the person who facilitated the meeting, Jairus Nona, when he appeared before Madlanga Commission, he was afraid to name those names. And when Ket appeared before this commission and introduced that meeting, I was not in the country. When I became aware of it, I then sent a WhatsApp message. I actually tried to phone Jairus Nona. He didn't answer the phone. When I sent him a message to outline what the meeting is about, the same message that after sending to Snona, I shared with yourself, Senior Counsel, on the...
Yes, we'll ask for that, if it's possible, we'll ask for that, those WhatsApp messages to be flighted. But continue in the meantime.
Perhaps what I can say then, Chair, is I've indicated why didn't I introduce that meeting, that I did not see the need of that meeting to be discussed before this commission, because this committee, because...
Sorry, General, to interrupt. The WhatsApp copy is in hard copy, I think, before honourable members, Chair. And the letter from Sanona's attorney. So you can refer to it, General. Thank you.
Okay. Honourable Chair, I still feel that Kat Matlala was used by people to try and paint a picture that as a person who looks like a bad person, but he also met with me. And as a result, people will start questioning my credibility.
So that's how he responded to it. Mpo, you calling from Centurion. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Clement.
Sure.
Good show. All right. Well, my comment is that I would like to see the Matlanga Commission continuing even post this investigation.
Wait, the ad hoc committee or Matlanga Commission?
The Matlanga Commission and also the ad hoc committee, so that it deals with all the departments, the national departments, provincial departments, even in the local municipalities, to deeply investigate the corruption that is taking place, because this corruption is not only taking in SAPS, it's not taking place in SAPS only, it's taking throughout the country. So if the Matlanga Commission and the ad hoc committees, maybe they I don't know, another commission itself to thoroughly investigate this, because I can tell you, Clement, the corruption in this country, it's so endemic, it's happening in each and every department, including the private sector. They should also go there, because people are afraid to speak, to lose their jobs, to lose their careers in the public and private sector.
Yeah, who's going to be brave enough, though, to come out and reveal what's happening in other departments? Because then if you just go, let's just investigate other departments, that's too broad, and it may take time, and it may be just complex. And it's also very tricky. You can't tell people, go risk your job. I mean, General Mkhwanazi was able to do that, and maybe he considered the risks that he may be seen as this problematic person. I mean, his contract comes to an end, by the way, in March, end of this month, the KZN Police Commissioner, and he still hasn't received a new contract. The Premier of KwaZulu-Natal is now concerned. He's written to the National Police Commissioner to say, what's going on? We need this man to continue working KZN. In fact, yesterday, the National Police Commissioner, 2 days ago, spoke about this at the ad hoc committee and said they're finalizing that contract. But the point here is, not everybody is going to be as brave as Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. I mean, even Fanima Semula couldn't hold a briefing and say, Senzo Mkhunu is busy giving us illegal instructions. So what do you do? How can we, because I agree, I think there is a rot in other organizations, and it needs to be exposed in the same way that the rot in the SAPS has been exposed. But we're going to need someone to be brave enough to blow that whistle. But we live in a country where it's even dangerous to blow the whistle. So what do we do? It's 10:32. Sviso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. A man accused of killing two Mamelodi cousins will return in court today for further investigations. 22-year-old Tiamo Marumaga and 21-year-old Baleseng Marumaga were found on the side of the streets with gunshot wounds not far from where they lived in October last year. 38-year-old Tebogo Mnisi allegedly shot the women and another victim, a man who survived the attack. The attorney representing alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Kat Matlala says they will apply for a trial within a trial to challenge the legality of the seizure of his electronic devices, as well as the statements that were made by Matlala after his arrest. Matlala's lawyers allege that recordings obtained from the devices have been used by the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry, where Matlala has been mentioned by witnesses. And Iranian missile attacks have killed 3 Palestinian women in the occupied West Bank and a foreign worker in central Israel. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society says falling shrapnel struck a hair salon in the West Bank town of Beit Aura near Hebron just late yesterday, marking the first Palestinian deaths from the Iranian attacks in the ongoing Middle East war. The Red Crescent said that at least 8 others were wounded, including one woman in critical condition. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the M2 West, we've got delays just at Heidelberg Road. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 North. This is between the Geldenhuys Interchange and Van Buren Road. Roadworks are causing these delays. Please be on the lookout there. And if you're traveling in Boksburg, we've got more roadworks taking place along the N17 East approaching Rondebolt Road, causing heavy delays. There's also slow-moving traffic on the M1 South in the Kelvin area. This is between the Baklu Interchange and Marlborough Drive. Speaking of Marlborough Drive, experiencing delays in and out of the N3, so please try to use maybe Vincent Chabalala Road as an alternative towards other areas like Alexandra as well as the M1. Then traveling in the city of Tshwane, some issues reported on the N1 North coming out of the Flying Saucer Interchange. There's also queuing traffic reported on the R80 South just as you approach the Hairpin Bend, and that's due to roadworks. Please be on the lookout there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Gas fields and facilities both within Iran and with more broadly the region. Some attacks in Qatar, for example, reported this morning. That seems to be the new target point. And that's going to have an impact on you and I and how much money we pay for a litre of petrol come April.
Absolutely. And in this case, diesel powers the mining industry. Diesel powers the transport industry in particular. And this is going to have massive knock-on effects in terms of...
Dale McKinley, a political economist, reflecting on tensions and that war in the Middle East and the impact it's going to have on you and me, ultimately, and our pockets.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Earn up to 7.35% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account. Access your money within 24 hours. Keep your money agile. Get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
It's time to save big. Don't miss out on Telkom's biggest sale of the year. Get unbeatable prices and incredible savings on smartphones, data, and more. Hurry! The Blue Bargain Sale is for a limited time. Call 10213, click telkom.co.za, download the My Telkom app, or visit any Telkom shop.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without My Way's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now. Save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We're taking your calls, your WhatsApps as well, reflecting on the work of the ad hoc committee. Ntantlam Konazi yesterday returned to the committee as the last witness before the committee then starts its deliberations about the evidence that's come out so far. And then they have to compile a report with findings. But what is your reflection? Like when you look back at the work of the committee, what do you think were the important moments? What were the bad moments? What are the lessons? As I've said, I think having Ket Matlala testify before the committee was quite key. I thought it was important to hear from the man at the center of all of these allegations, even though I don't think he was necessarily honest or that the committee members themselves were quite ready to take him to task. I think a lot of them tried, but I think he appeared, for instance, at the Madlanga Commission, the questioning would have been quite different. And I get it, because the Madlanga Commission has investigative capacity, which is why they're able to get to the nub of issues and contradict even some of the evidence that comes from these guys that are testifying. What are your reflections? Do you think they've done a good job? Bearing in mind that these are politicians, of course, so you will obviously get to a point where you see and experience political grandstanding. But broadly speaking, have they helped this country through these witnesses understand the rot in the criminal justice system, or in the SAPS to be more specific? Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement. Well, except for the showmanship and drama by politicians in the ad hoc committee, they helped us to realize one thing, because we always knew that there was something wrong with the police. But we thought whatever was wrong was confined to the local police station. But the committee and the inquiries has helped us to know that actually the rot comes from the top. It's the other way around. I always thought it was from the local police. They are the ones who are corrupt. But the whole system from the top is rotten. This is Kabelo from Pretoria.
Good morning, Clement. Pat here from Spearview. Yes, after we have heard what was going on in police in Gauteng, I think we should now wait for a report and recommendations, because let's not be naive. This problem is in the whole country. It's jigelele. So we'd like to see how they're going to clean these generals and lieutenants. I think there's just too many of them. So that maybe there will be some confidence from the public after the cleaning.
Morning, Clement. Clement, but General Mukanas, his last testimony, he managed to clear off all these allegations that were put before against him. And meeting with Matlala, it's so understandable to say he took Matlala as an informant, and at the end of the day, they had these things. They tried to pack the room so that there will be evidence that they are not colluding with Matlala. Mkonazi has done a wonderful job. And yes, we need to be grateful to have such patriots. That's now. Thanks.
Morning, Clement. When the ad hoc started, I really had confidence in them. I had hope, because as compared to Madlanga, the president could go around it and just not implement it. Well, because it's not a Chapter 9 institution, so it's not really binding on the president. But with ad hoc, it's a parliamentary process. Parliament is an institution that's recognized by the Constitution. So there's no way the president would go around and not implement it. It has a binding effect. The recommendations and the report, that is. But with Madlanga, the president might just, look at the Zondo report, come on. Look at the public protector's state of comfort. What happened? So I really had hope. But yeah, no, they just became political. Prince, Bedford View.
The proof that he met Matlala Mkwanas, the proof is the one that is chilling. We see it in Madlanga. People don't want to read the WhatsApp and call the names out, Clement. We must remember that. This is the kind of Mkwanas, very smart police officer. That's the proof today that we have, that they met. And some people, they are scared of reading the names of the people that they were snitched on that WhatsApp case in Gages.
So it was quite shocking, in fact, when Shibiri, the head of the Hawks in Gauteng, was refusing to name a particular person who is very powerful and has influence even in the SAPS, who is not even in the SAPS. I mean, as a police officer, your job is that's why Fani Masemula, when he was asked about this in Parliament 2 days ago, he said, as an officer, we expect you to go after these people who are problematic in society. Can you imagine the head of the Hawks in Gauteng is scared? What about us then? As mere civilians. The head of the Hawks in Gauteng, head of organized crime, not the Hawks, head of organized crime, Mr. Shibiri, is scared to mention a name of someone who is dangerous. General Mkhwanazi yesterday was just mentioning the names. He also even told the ad hoc, I'm surprised that there are people, top officials of the SAPS, who are scared to even mention people who are dangerous out there. I mean, what is this? Listen to what General Mkhwanazi said about Shadrach Sibiya, because the question, of course, is there enough evidence to take Shadrach Sibiya down, if indeed they're so convinced that he was working with these criminal elements?
Are you satisfied that you have sufficient evidence against Lieutenant General Shadrach Sibiya to have him arrested, charged?
From what the case I opened in KZN, I'm confident with that. And from what I gather from the team working in Gauteng, there's quite good information that they have already.
In your opinion, did the Minister of Police, Senzo Mkhunu, commit a crime? What crime would that be? Was his order to disband the BKTT illegal in terms of the law?
From me as a complainant, it was illegal in terms of the law.
What law?
Defeating the edge of justice. It is action that led into what transpired after that.
Yeah, that's what he said. And then he came out and he was asked about Ket Matlala in the bigger scheme of things. How big is he in the cartels? And he seems to believe that, in fact, Ket is just a small fish. There are bigger fish out there.
Because of the investigation. But the one famous person that is known as Vusmu's Ket Matlala, he was placing himself, he was trying to replace one of the big five. But he was actually a proxy of one of them before. So in this scheme of things of the big five, he's nothing. He's a non-starter. So he's a small fish in a pond.
Not sure he'd be happy to hear that. But...
Yeah, he knows it himself. He knows it himself. There are big bras that generals are afraid to call their names about.
Yeah, really, really, really interesting. More of your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hi, good day, Clement. Yeah, but we need to be fair, Clement. Mkhwanazi gave reasons for why he met Ket. Context matters. Don't just take it at the top. He gave reasons why he met Ket. He's not the one that initiated to meet Ket, So don't put it as if it was the wrong thing. As a police officer, he did what he needed to be done, to make sure that he get the information from the guy. We need to be fair. It's like you are just criticizing for the sake of criticizing corners.
What are you talking about? Have you been listening to the same show? I don't know what you're talking about, because nobody criticized anything there. We said they asked him a question about why he didn't reveal the meeting in the first place, which is a legitimate question to ask. I even said that he met Ket probably under the guise of helping him with the contract, but he knew that he needed some information, which he got about Shadrach Sibiya and other criminal elements. So I'm not sure. Maybe you misheard us there, sir. Just take a listen to the podcast. We're going to publish it after 10 o'clock to hear how we framed it in the beginning. That may help.
Morning, Clement. Ad hoc committee, I think all those politicians were grandstanding, but the Madlanga Commission, I rather watch every evening when I get home. I would watch the Madlanga Commission
instead of the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee are just what snippets, you know. I will not spend a whole hour and a half watching the ad hoc committee, but I will the Madlanga, because there the witnesses get grilled and evidence is actually put in front of them. Tauhidi and Randburg.
Clement, what I found very interesting yesterday was the letter from prison, the handwritten letter confessing and spilling the beans on what Kat discussed in prison. That I found rather interesting. Thanks, Clement. Natasha.
Yeah, Natasha, but then, you know, because there's a lot here that they have. I mean, even that, remember that recording, there's I think there's a recording of the meeting when he met with Kat. I think he said he's willing to avail that to the committee. But also, two, after Kat was arrested, there is like hours and hours of recordings that actually were also used at the Madlanga Commission, where Kat is talking about, that's why we know about the money that Kat gave to Richard Shibiri, the head of organized crime in Gauteng. Kat spoke about these things. But then when Kat appeared before the Madlanga Commission, he said, no, they've doctored his voice, it's AI. You know, he's trying to dispute the authenticity of that recording. So even with this letter that you speak about, Natasha, I suspect that we may get to a point where he also comes back and says, no, I didn't write that. I just hope the police can get experts who can prove, even to Kat and all these other guys, that that recording is legit and it wasn't doctored. Huh? Maybe they must get some experts who can look at those recordings and figure out if really they're AI generated or not. But Kat Matlala now probably feels, I shared too much. Maybe I need to hold back a little bit. Or he could have a point. I don't know. But I think this can be answered by experts who check the recordings and decide what to do.
Morning, Clement and team. My view, the Madlanga Commission really opened our eyes. Even the parliamentary sitting really opened our eyes in terms of what the real corruption is. My view, all three departments should follow suit and commissions be made. Obviously, that's a waste of a lot of money is going to be needed to be done there. But I think the health department, almost every day there's scandals around that. So maybe that should be the next department that a commission of inquiry is done. Sheldon, Pretoria. Thanks. Have a good day.
Morning, Clement. What I like about Mkosi, he even warned those parliamentarians and he told them, don't mix yourselves up with the wrong people, because we always see you mixing yourself up with the wrong people. Thank you.
Good morning, Clemmy. For me, as far as General Mkwanas is concerned, his posture and how he answered, how he articulated everything, for me, it gives me that thing that, you know what, when somebody knows what they're talking about, and the true thing that they know about what they're talking about, he was not grasping at straws as trying to figure out whatever. No, he knew what he was talking about. He understood what he was there for. For me, that's a takeaway for me from Mkwanas.
And by the way, the other listener who said Mkwanas was warning the members of parliament to be careful on who they mix themselves up with. Remember what he said yesterday about General Khan and the EFF leader, Julius Malema?
This is an indication of the influence and access that General Khan has in politicians. So he bragged about it when he told me. To what extent, I did not know. But as you receive information and you get to realize that this man, he is indeed connected to many politicians. I said the lead of EFF, for the first time for me to sit with him, is because it's Khan that took me to go and meet with him. Well, obviously, he had his concerns about the rallies and everything they were going to have there, which he would have met me in any way via Khan. But for whatever reason, Khan arranged that meeting so that we could meet and talk about the concern that they were having as a party. But that was an indication, according to what I observed, that the man is very close to politicians.
See, that's what happened there. When he was trying to also ultimately then warn the MPs just to be careful of who they mix up with. But you can see that there are senior cops who are close with some politicians. That's not to say that there's criminality between them. But I think the point he was making is sometimes then when the cops themselves are tainted, these top cops, then it may affect your credibility or your reputation as a politician.
Part of the 702 family.
My name is Ephraim Morobela. I'm from Midrand. I'm one of the 702 listeners. What I enjoy is different people's perspectives as well as presenters who give a different perspective with regard to what is happening all over the world.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Sometimes all it takes to reshape the world and deliver better outcomes is a little unconventional thinking. Black Sheep Thinking, powered by Camissa Asset Management.
In the 19th century in Europe, particularly around the 1850s, many expectant mothers were dying at terrifying rates from childbirth. Women who went in to deliver babies in hospitals, going in perfectly healthy, would sometimes not survive. Doctors blamed bad air, blamed fate, or sometimes they said it was the fault of the women themselves. And then a doctor, Ignaz Semmelweis, he noticed that maybe one of the things they ought to do is wash their hands. Germ theory did not yet exist, and so many of the doctors did not believe. We look back now, and of course, he was absolutely right, and that's the power of Black Sheep Thinking.
Black Sheep Thinking, every Tuesday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, powered by Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP on 702.
This 23rd of March, join Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council as we commemorate the Battle of Quito Quanavale, a defining moment in Southern Africa's journey to freedom. Be part of a powerful day of reflection on resistance and liberation heritage, featuring a public lecture, a wreath-laying ceremony, and messages of solidarity from African and international partners. Let's honor the courage, unity and sacrifice that shaped our democracy. Freedom Park in Pretoria, 23rd of March, 2026. Be there and be part of the legacy.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5. It's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, it's Clement Manyathela, the Minister of National Treasures.
Mr. Minister, how can Momentum Insure help you?
This economy is not helping with the cost of my gusheshe, my tires, man.
Just get Momentum Insure's safety returns and get up to 30% cash back, even if you claim.
Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Minister. Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's going up to 2 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's wrap up the 702 open line with your WhatsApp voice notes.
Morning, Clem. At the ad hoc committee, Clem, it was all the show of this politician, who's who, what is what. I didn't get anything from them. Yeah, all I could see was people shouting to the witnesses, as even Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was saying. They were just shouting. They have proven people guilty. And so the Madlanga Commission, that's where the truth is coming out. About the cat thing, Clement, I think the
That's why even in his case now, in his court, he's saying he's going to challenge those tapes that are there. He's going to challenge them. He's going to do, I think they call it a trial within a trial, to dispute all those things. So we'll see from there.
Hi, Clement and the listeners. What I loved about him yesterday, it was when he went for Mr. Adams. When he went for Mr. Adams, yeah, Mr. Adams just went for a hiding. Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, here's what he said about Mr. Adams yesterday.
Well, somebody says must give us a room. Honorable Chair and members, I was watching Mr. Adams when he was testifying here. When he's asked to state something, whether is it fact or not, he doesn't want to. He wants to explain. That's why I'm even drawing your attention that the man sits here and he says, I was wrong about Kumalo on July unrest. And I come back, no, I was not wrong. I was right. So how can you be? This is a sign, Honorable Chair and members, that school is very important. You have to learn to read. If you don't read, you miss things. That's very critical. So everything written in that statement is his own mind. That's what he thinks about. It's not the things that he knows as facts. He says that him and his wife were discussing and said the only reason for this press conference is this. He made a conclusion already. I'm glad he's not sitting amongst you here to ask questions to the witnesses that are coming here, because he already prejudged that which happened on the 6th of July as the member of parliament.
It's 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. Organized crime officer Sergeant Nkosi continues with his almost a week-long testimony at the Madlanga Commission that's investigating alleged police corruption. Nkosi yesterday admitted to putting the lives of witnesses and police at risk by sharing confidential information with a taxi boss. WhatsApp texts before the Madlanga Commission show that in 2024, Nkosi shared a crime report on the shooting of Soshanguve taxi boss Opasi Tola with a civilian. The civilian was described as a businessman with interests in the taxi and private security industry. The report Nkosi shared contained details of the person who survived the shooting, which clinic they were taken to, and the names of the police investigating the matter. Co-Commissioner Sesibaloyi questioned Nkosi why he shared such sensitive information with the civilian.
By sharing the details of this person who is in hospital, their name and where they were taken, that you were potentially placing them at risk when you share this with a member of the public. Do you accept that?
I accept that.
Okay.
Nkosi then tried to defend himself, saying the report was in the public domain.
I'm not shying away from taking full responsibility, even though it was in public domain. But I think maybe I was wrong to forward it further. But it automatically, it was no longer confidential because it was already on Facebook.
The attorney representing alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Matlala says they will apply for a trial within a trial to challenge the legality of the seizure of his electronic devices, as well as statements that were made by Matlala after his arrest. Matlala's lawyers allege that recordings obtained from the devices have been used by the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where Matlala has been mentioned by witnesses. Demakaso Leshora reports.
The main trial, set to start later in the year, is expected to last for 25 days. However, the case will return to the High Court in May for possible applications to compel disclosure of information. Matlala, his wife Tsakane, and alleged hitmen Floyd Mabusela and Musa Kekana, as well as Kekane's daughter Ntabiseng Nzama, face 25 charges ranging from attempted murder, defeating the ends of justice, and money laundering, linked to 3 separate cases. Advocate Annalyn van der Heever claims information was deleted from the devices.
Andrea Johnson, the head of IDA, gave evidence at the Portfolio Committee in Cape Town about the seizure. She stated under oath that her expert, when he was downloading it, complained that there were information that were deleted from the phone. So
Matlala's electronic devices have been a central point of contention at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry as they allegedly contain evidence of corrupt relationships between him, SAPS officials and politicians. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
A man accused of killing two Mamelodi cousins will return in court today for further investigations. 22-year-old Tiamo Moromacha and 21-year-old Baleseng Moromacha were found on the side of the road with gunshot wounds not far from where they lived in October last year. 38-year-old Tebogo Mnisi allegedly shot the women and another victim, a man who survived the attack. Jabulile Mbata reports.
It is alleged the young women were walking with another man from a night out when they were shot dead. 22-year-old Tiamo Muramaga was allegedly romantically involved with Mnisi. The suspect was arrested shortly after the attack and he chose to abandon his bail application. The families of the deceased have shared their frustration over the postponement of the matter. During Tebogo Mnisi's last court appearance, the state said there were documents that were outstanding, including hospital records and J88 post-mortem reports. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News.
And Iranian missile attacks have killed 3 Palestinian women in the occupied West Bank and a foreign worker in central Israel. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society says falling shrapnel struck a hair salon in the West Bank town of Beit Awa near Hebron just late yesterday. This marks the first Palestinian deaths from the Iranian attacks in the ongoing Middle East war. The Red Crescent said at least 8 others were wounded, including one woman in critical condition. Iran has launched many missiles towards Israel since Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the US's Donald Trump started attacking Tehran at the end of last month. Palestinian Vice President Hussein al-Sheikh has reportedly received a phone call from the United Arab Emirates Foreign Minister to condemn the deadly Iranian missile attack. Gold is trading at $4,838.24 an ounce. The rand is at 16.99 to the dollar, 22.54 to the pound, 19.49 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $111.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident reported on the N1 South. It's right near Rivonia Road. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the M1 South, queuing traffic between the Baklu interchange and Marlborough Drive. That's due to roadworks.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Organised crime officer Sergeant Nkosi continues with his almost week-long testimony at the Madlanga Commission that's investigating alleged police corruption.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN
app. You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702 and thank you for your contribution on the 702 open line. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to do the Thursday dialogue. There are 2 important issues I want us to discuss this morning on the Thursday dialogue. They're pressing issues. One, Justice Kampempe, what's going on at this inquiry she has been chairing that is looking at whether or not there was political interference in the prosecution of TRC cases. Because as you and I know, 30 years later, isn't it unbelievable that we haven't seen prosecutions emanating from the recommendations of the TRC, which is why a lot of people are now coming up with all sorts of conspiracy theories. And these conspiracy theories have been around for a while. Did the ANC sign some secret deal with the National Party? And if that's not the case, then how do you explain the fact that there were recommendations from the TRC and they're still not being followed up with successful prosecutions at the NPA. We're going to talk about that. And the reason we're talking about this today is because Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, the former presidents, have gone to court. They want Sisi Kampempe to be removed as the chair of that commission because they're saying she was involved with the TRC Commission at the time. So she's conflicted. So we're going to explain that to you, speak to the families as well. The second issue we're going to talk about is that decision by CAF's appeal body. I'm going to bring in the spokesperson for Petrus Motsepe to come and explain these trust issues that are now existing within CAF. I mean, they've had an incredible legacy, but this decision by the appeals board, no matter how you look at it, whether they followed the rules or not, is going to affect the credibility of CAF. So I'll bring in Petrus Motsepe, spokesperson. I will bring in other stakeholders as well to have a conversation. Oh, Senegal. In Senegal, we've got a journalist in Senegal as well who will join us. So that's what's coming up at 11 o'clock. But right now, we start with our Hanging Out feature.
Hanging Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
And on our Hanging Out feature this morning, we're hanging out with legendary actor Kenneth Nkosi, who has, can you believe it, has been in the industry for 30 years. So when I was like 6 years old, he was starting. Wow, 30 years, bro. Kenneth. Good morning, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clement.
Did I make you feel old?
And you can see I'm trying so hard to make me feel young, man, and look young.
You're doing good, because how old are you now?
I'm turning 53 on the 10th of May. Yeah.
You don't look 53 at all.
No, I don't. And I refuse to look 53.
Yeah.
No, I'm kept young by my kids. I've got young children.
How old are they?
Keep me young. For 23-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 14-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So they keep me young, yeah. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, at the 3-year-old?
And a 3-year-old, yes.
So when you're 50?
Yeah. I was young.
So corner,
Okay. Ooh, I'm hanging out with Brian Adele. Hey, Brian Adele.
So let me say this. Yes. I've always wondered how it feels like to be 50.
Yeah.
Is it different to how when you turn 40? Because I'm looking forward to 40. Oh my God, I'm 36. It's actually quite unbelievable. I'm turning 36 this year, and I'm thinking 40 is going to be, for me, like the pinnacle. What was it for you? Was it 40 or 50?
It always feels like it's going to be. But the reality is...
And it just moves.
It just moves.
It's the same.
Life. To me, it doesn't feel any different. Except that there are aches and pains where, there are other places where when you wake up, you have to be more careful. You can't just jump out.
Music can't be too loud.
Music can't be too loud, But the child in me never grew, and I keep it young as much as possible because I do not want to be old.
Yeah.
I mean, the aging is beautiful because it comes with knowledge, it comes with a whole lot of beautiful experiences and wisdom and all that. But hey, me as a Kenneth Nkosi, I'm an Nkuba Jivan. I just like having a good time.
Having a good time.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into acting?
Well, acting to me is like something that just came to me, to be honest. I started way back. I think I must have been 13 years of age.
Who told you about it? Did you even know anything about acting?
No. We used to have a youth club in Rockville, Soweto. There's an institution that is called NICRO, which is National Institute for Crime Prevention and Rehabilitation of Offenders. So they had this beautiful organization that was happening in Soweto, and their biggest aim was to try and prevent crime from its primary level, meaning we didn't want to have to deal with offenders. They didn't want offenders. So they had to help us, young people, come up with a youth club where they will be educating us in various issues, like youth leadership training, like dancing and singing and all that. Tina, in the 80s, we didn't sit around in watching computers. We were out there really being active.
Yeah.
Right? And
were you
fun.
interested, though? Because I remember those youth organizations even when I was growing up. I think I joined some of them where they were teaching us to dance, to act. But honestly speaking, best jola lapaya.
No,
yeah,
don't worry.
No,
it was beautiful.
We're not interested in.
It was amazing.
Okay, so at what point did you decide, actually, this is something I could take seriously?
The thing about it is that there was a joint enrichment project which used to bring actors in that very youth club. The old actors, Sol Rachilo, who came to impart knowledge on acting and stuff like that. And that's when there was something I was able to do better than everybody else. And that fascinated me. Growing up as a young boy who was talking and with low self-esteem. But all of a sudden I was able to do this one thing.
With that man.
And that was a decision. Truly, that's all I knew it from the age of 13. This is what I would love to do. Went on to high school, opened the community group in the high school, went on to study at the Market Theatre Laboratory, and the rest is history.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And are you, because often people who've done theatre and they go into whether they do films or soap operas, telenovelas, there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
For you, what's your first love? Is there, or for you, it's just acting is acting?
Well, the reality of the matter is that every actor will tell you the stage.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Every actor says
because
stage.
that's where we came from. That's where we began. And there's something about the intimacy of you as an audience member sitting here.
Sitting there.
And me having to perform and say these lines and not knowing if I'm going to get them that night or not. That excitement.
Yeah.
Amazing. So that would be the first love like any other actor. But acting is acting.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
And as you grow up, you realize that you meet up with someone, and with that somebody you decide to have a child, and then you realize, no, you need to go and make money.
Yeah.
Right? And then theater doesn't do as much.
Doesn't do that. Yeah.
Financially, it doesn't. Right? So I went on to do television because we needed to feed families.
Yeah.
Right?
I just wish that, and I hope we're going to get to a point where the industry just also appreciates theater like that, and even us.
Yeah.
Just as consumers.
Yeah.
Because, when you go to countries like Europe...
And it used to be big in this country. You look at people like Bombong and Ngema, you look at people like Bob Gibson Kent and all that. People used to dress up and go out to go and watch theater in to cinema in other places. Right? What happened there? But the reality... I think maybe the democracy came with that as well, because then you had more than one option.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's not a reality. Now there was Tekenika, there was the Kind Center and all that.
Yeah.
You could take your girlfriend and go to Carton Center instead of around the corner,
Yeah.
So maybe that too. But I hope, and I really do hope, that we cultivate the audience at the theater, because theater is beautiful, and people are missing out in so much. And it has nothing to do with money. People always go, no, it's about money and all that. People are able to blow a lot of money in one weekend, and they can take a taxi and go to the Market Theatre or the Joburg Theatre and watch theatre.
Yeah, it's so brilliant. Did you pick up a change in the opportunities? I think I've read somewhere that there was a time you were sitting with your mom, you were watching the inauguration of Nelson Mandela, and after that, you really worked for about 7 years non-stop.
Yeah.
Was there a change that you witnessed, as we entered this new democracy?
No, it was huge. It was huge. It was a time when, it was 1994 on the 10th of May. That's when I was born, when I was watching that inauguration, right? Do you remember when we used to have this tagline, tourism, I think, South Africa alive with possibility.
Yes.
That's exactly how it felt like at that time, right? It was beautiful. We were living in Yeovil at the time. I was living in Yeovil, Bo Rapulana and all that. That's when the Bongo muffins were happening. That's when Bo Oskido, Bo Razmatas were happening. Bo Bongo muffin, White was happening. It felt like there was so much going to be happening in this country. There was a light somewhere. We saw ourselves getting better and better as a people.
I wish I lived during that time in Yeovil.
Yeah. Askies. your parents, you're a late sperm.
I am.
You're a delayed one.
I am. But because a lot of people I speak to who've lived in Yeovil will tell you that, you'll be walking down the street and there's Brenda Fassie.
I used to chill with Brenda Fassie at Times Square. Brenda Fassie at Times Square, me, young man. And you'll go down the road and in Rocker Street, you go listen to what Jasid and Admiral playing there in Chandu. We used to have such a beautiful time. When I pass now in Yeovil is a shadow of itself. But it created so many beautiful artists. And it was just a nice, beautiful community where people, the creatives, musicians, actors, dancers, wanted to hang together and have a bit of a dope,
Yeah. What do you think has replaced that place now, Yeovil?
It's so funny because what happened after Yeovil, Newtown replaced that place. And then the corporates came in Newtown.
Yeah. So where are the creatives now? Where do they hang?
I don't know. We find them sometimes in Yeovil. In Melville,
In Melville.
Yeah, kancane. But ilaba phuza kakhulu.
But there's the thing called is it 44 Stanley?
Yeah,
when I
44
pass
Stanley,
there, sometimes I
but
see.
44 Stanley is beautiful, Rao, but it's not. It's
not
not
like
the
that.
heart. It's not like that. I mean, I think we've lost places like that. It's so sad. I mean, when you look at the new town, the only place you have is the Market Theatre or Nikki's Oasis. You know, but most of the places that used to be there, people used just to gather at the market every Friday. And we'll discuss issues, we'll discuss problems, we'll discuss projects and come up with ideas on how we're going to move ourselves forward. But now I don't even know where people hang.
Yeah.
And it is so sad.
Yeah.
It is so sad.
Yeah, it is. Because it's nicer to have creatives come together and to have places that are just melting
Listen,
pots.
you've got more of the young people right now mostly going to Maboneng. Right, because then you've got your fashion designers there, you've got some musicians there, you've got artists, visual artists there, and some. But I don't know if it's as vibey as it used to be.
Yeah, with Yorville.
With
All right.
Yorville.
So part of getting to know you is to also play some of your favorite songs.
Yes.
And we're gonna get to some songs now, and then I'll come to your WhatsApps. I see them on 0727021702. We're hanging out with Kenneth Nkosi, the legendary actor. If you've got a question for him or you want to say hello, you want to reflect, maybe you've worked with him, you can give us a call on 011-883-0702 or send a WhatsApp 072-702-1702. Missing You. Why do you like this song so much?
It is a beautiful production called Set It Up. I don't know if you remember the movie called Set It Up with Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah.
Oh, Jada, yes.
And I think Vivica Smith, Fox or something like that. It was just, it's in the ending of that movie where Jada, everybody has died. And she's just by herself, reminiscing about her friends and her friendships. To me, that's what it is. It is about the people I've missed and I've lost in my life.
Sure, that's amazing. We'll get to it in a moment. But is that the kind of music you listen to, or are you a more mixed bag guys? Because, I mean, you've given us Tsepo Tsula, you've got Brenda Fassie, got Michael Jackson, you've got Bongo Muffin.
I've got Ringo Madlingozi.
Yeah.
I've got TKZ. I've got Rebecca Malope.
So
I love my R&B as well. Adele. I mean, I'm my favorite Ed Sheeran. I've got James Blunt. I've got what's this old man that I love so much? Gregory Porter. So I've got a mixed bag of music. That's what
amazing.
I love. I love music.
All right. We'll get to that music after the break. It's 20 minutes now after 10 o'clock.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702
are all about timeless tunes.
At 10 a.m.
Kenny Maestri sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s
and 90s. At 2 p.m., Pushaza Sibia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classics you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 5 p.m., Richard Mwamba
celebrates the sounds of the continent
with This Is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday wrapped in the sounds you love.
Only on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today, it's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 23 minutes after 10 o'clock. Kenneth Nkosi is on our Hanging Out feature this morning. Here's one of his favorite songs, I'm Missing You.
Suddenly so fast. How could it be that our sweet memories would be all that we have left? And now that you're gone, every day I go on, but life's just not the same. I'm so empty inside, and my tears I can't hide. But I'll try to face the pain, though I'm missing you. I'll find a way to get through. Living without you, 'cause you were my sister, my strength, and my ground. Only God may know why. Still, I will get by. There were so many things that we could have shared. If time was on our side. Ooh, yeah. Now that you're gone, I can still feel you near. So I'll smile with every tear I cry. Though I'm missing you, I'll find a way to go through. Living without you, 'cause you were my sister, my strength and my pride. Only God may know why. Still, I will get by. Sweet, we're the closest to friends. When I wait for the day when I'll see you again. See you again. But I'll find a way to get through. Living without you. You are my sister, and my pride. Only God may know why. I will get by.
Oh my goodness. I just had a light bulb moment. I just realized that this is not a love song.
No. No.
But we used to play this song when we were going through a breakup.
Because I can understand the lyrics.
There's the lyrics. Utlina Stoop.
Yeah.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Oh my goodness. But what a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Missing you.
Yeah. You know, 7 colors.
Ish. Yeah. Let's go to WhatsApp at 072 702 at 702.
Good morning, Clement. 702 lenders. Clement, you are sitting with the living legend, Babu Nkosi, by Kenneth Nkosi. You know, I was also 6. I was also 6 when he started 30 years ago. But I just want to speak on a video that's been has been making the rounds. It's been shared by millions of South Africans. It's a snippet from, I think it's Tsotsi, where Kenneth says, "Sizovuka vye, sizovakrend." You know, like that video has been making the rounds. People have been using it to make their own videos, and it speaks to the hope that we have as a white Basilukshin. You know, that one this is overtrained. What this is over. Thank you, Kenneth Nkosi. Thank you so much for your contribution to the arts and our lives. You truly are a living legend. Masungule Protiatle.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Thank you, Masungule.
Amen.
Oh, man. Let's go to some calls as well on 011-883-0702. Mam Lillian Dube, good morning.
Wow!
So,
I wonder
have you know, let me tell you, Kenneth, this is what I feel every time I have to speak to Mam Lillian. I'm like, yo, I wonder Otlorraine today. How are you, Mam Lillian?
I'm good, man. Hello, man. Clement, you don't know how proud I am of you, my baby. Whatever I've listened to 702, hola mahlongaka, unto hola every day. Mudimo out here later, hey, because I rappel every day. Usually, you've got my boy there.
Oh,
I'm surprised.
Oh, my
God. I wonder, instead of him telling you about where me and him come from.
Oh, man.
You are not thinking about me.
Oh, man. What's about Mamzu? The problem here, radio. And then Nastor Sagaswena comes. Do you really know? You know, my first appearance on television or film was with Mam Lillian. Mam Lillian, she was my agent. I started as an extra. On Ipintombi, I was an extra. Texas to Soweto, I was an extra. Those movies years ago, before I actually started acting. It was Mam Lillian Komfuloga Agency, Lillian Tube Agency, who plugged me, who called me there. But you know what I mean, Mam Soso.
That's amazing.
Clement, this boy, I've got so much respect for him. Me and him were educating people about HIV and AIDS. You should have seen Kenneth's script. It was so long, and he was HIV positive at the time where we were all scared. We were even afraid of the scripts that we were holding. Renana, they'll give us HIV. Kenneth nailed. Why did you not get an award for that, Kenneth?
The late Tebohoma Klasi directed that. It was Free Filmmakers. It was just an amazing, and it was, listen to me, young actor, just starting up, having to act opposite Mam Lillian Dube, one-on-one for days.
And it was just the two of us, remember?
Just the two of us, you know.
With
it was
lots of dialogue
man.
We were drained. We should have been taken for debriefing and given money, and we need a stage whatever.
What my mom didn't said. What mom said one day, I couple of like somebody, my ex-wife at that time. I go now. If you go to about HIV,
because you should
should know better. You educated people way before everybody was talking about it.
Mary Kenneth, God is good because in Naliwen we were both so lalapi, and yet come how Mudimo AIDS. Reshoot even though Nerkokota.
What's killer?
No risk.
You know, I look at your life and I look at mine. There's a lot of a gap between our age, but now we are still the same age.
Mam Lillian, thank you so much. What a lovely call.
Thank you very much, Bamso.
Mam Lillian Dube is a veteran actress. It's 10:32. We'll get to more of your calls and WhatsApps after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Fisa, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. As the Madlanga Commission moves to scrutinize the bank records of Police Sergeant Nkosi, evidence leaders have reminded him that his testimony cannot be used in a criminal trial. This is in line with legislation around testimonies at commissions of inquiry, as it's considered compelled evidence, but this excludes cases where witnesses are being pursued for perjury and their testimony can can be used to prove they lied under oath before a commission. Western Cape Police are preparing to select a contingent of officers with SANDF members for drills in crime hotspots. Police say these exercises are in preparation for the Army's deployments in the Cape soon. The two-day operation includes an air and ground presence. And a public hearing in China has heard that safety measures failed on the day of a devastating blaze which tore through a housing complex in Hong Kong. Last year, a high-rise apartment complex caught alight, killing 168 people. A safety panel conducting the hearing say the scar that is hard to forget on the city's collective memory continues. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling on the N3 North, we've got some delays in the Bedfordview area. This is between Van Buren Road and the Gululis interchange. If you were travelling on the M1 South, please be on the lookout for some issues just as you approach the Halton Drive off-ramp. That's due to the roadworks that are also taking place along this route. And there's also queuing traffic. This is in the Kyalami estate. We've got a major accident scene that happened along this route. It's along the R55. It is causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Main Road. Please try to avoid that one. You can still use the N1 South, especially if you're heading towards areas like Sunning Hill as well as Woodmead. In the city of Tshwane, some delays on the R80 southbound approaching the hairpin bend. Roadworks are taking place along this route as well. Please be on the lookout and keep it safe on the roads. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books and always some good news too. Appointment listening every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
This 23rd of March, join Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council as we commemorate the Battle of Cuito-Cuanavale, a defining moment in Southern Africa's journey to freedom. Be part of a powerful day of reflection on resistance and liberation heritage, featuring a public lecture, wreath-laying ceremony, and messages of solidarity from African and international partners. Let's honor the courage, unity and sacrifice that shaped our democracy. Freedom Park in Pretoria, 23rd of March. Be there and be part of the legacy.
Weekend away? In your Ford Everest, you're not traveling, you're exploring. That's peak living in the Ford Everest from only $9,999 per month with 10% deposit when financed through Ford Credit, a registered financial services and credit provider. And with our Ford Family Promise, you have access to 60-minute express service, 5.85% variable interest rate, 40% residual, 72 months to pay, risk profile dependent. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
Zakes owns an electrical business that lit up the neighborhood. Literally. One small spark, one big legal nightmare. But he has public liability insurance from Budget. The damage was covered and his client sorted. Sharp. To get public liability cover, visit budgetinsurance.co.za. Budget Insurance, official insurer for good South Africans. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
24 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're hanging out with legendary actor Kenneth Nkosi this morning on our Hanging Out feature. And before we continue our chat and play some more songs that are his favorites, let's go to some calls on 011-883-0702. Patrick, you calling from Soweto. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, Patrick. Go ahead.
Oh, what a great man, Clement. Thanks for inviting him on 702.
Oh, man.
Ken Father, how are you?
Your granddad was that?
Hey, Ken Father, I remember when we were at primary, you used to joke a lot and we used to laugh.
Oh, my word.
Always when I meet you,
When Chabavu Community School, Henley Primary School, yeah, man. Higher primary in Chabavu East. Ah, man. I want to ask when I was me. So when you should be calling me Nkosi because people who know me from Ekas Bank means I'm
Nkosi.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But yeah.
I need to tell you one thing about this man.
Yeah.
We grew up in an era when there was a corporal punishment at school. When we were given 2 lashes, he used to joke about it and we used to laugh.
So he was always a funny guy.
Corporal punishment.
I was always in trouble, that's why.
Yeah. Patrick in Soweto, thank you. Billy, you're calling us from Reche Park. Hi.
Hey, Billy here.
Hey, Tada.
No, Billy was used to my kid's transport driver to school.
Really?
Billy from Reche Park. Who handed me, bro?
Lekker my broer. Maar I want to tell Manyathela what you did to me one day when I had a breakdown.
Yeah.
Yo.
What happened?
He said to me, you know what? I don't care. You just make sure my children get to school. You get a donkey or horse. I don't care. I pay a lot of money to get these kids there by their school. You better make a plan, Billy. You better make a plan.
But you always made a plan, my brother.
You put me in check, bruh, but it was nice. I'm wake up now.
Thank you very much for the call, Billy.
What a lovely person there. Clement Manyathela. What a lovely person.
That's amazing.
Every day, I pass his house every day, just wishing I could see him and say, hey, Masaken, are you good?
Now you see me, now you don't, but now you can hear me. All up, Billy.
Yeah. All right, some WhatsApps as well on 072 702 and 702.
Hey, morning. Hey, Kenneth Nkosi. Mfethu. Butwami. Hayi. Uyi-favorite yami wena. Ngikhumbula u-actor kuTsotsi. Le movie Tsotsi. Hayi cha butwami yawugcwalisela ngempela. Esithi kuTsotsi, sizoba grand. Sizovuka mfethu yami.
Yeah, man.
Hey, big ups, brother. It's Khulekani la Idinvele Goli. Danko.
Good morning, Clem. Good morning. Great show as always. You're hanging out with the boss there, Kenneth, Mr. Nkosi.
Yeah, man.
This guy is always energetic, and you can tell that he loves his work. He enjoys doing this art thing, you know. There's this clip that we normally use now. It's there on TikToks and everywhere. So bakrele sibali. So krele. Sizovuka, one day sizovuka sibali. So bakrele. I think it's from Tsotsi. Yeah. Man, great show, man. This is Happy Tsotsi. It's from Sonneville.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff.
Thank you, man.
Jeez, this clip is quite popular, isn't it?
It is. It's quite huge, you know. And I think it's coming at a time where people are going through so much time, so much tough time, you know. And with Presley passing away, and I think I repeated it while I was giving my speech there in his memorial service. And people kept to it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's that song, and that it's about so like, you know.
Hulukid. Yeah, Hotlalo. So tell me, because the other voice note spoke about how you are always so energetic. Yeah. Are you always energetic?
It's impossible to be always energetic.
It's not practical.
It's not possible. But I do recognize the business I put myself in, which is called acting. And I chose the comedy part of it, the energy part of it. And that's how people know me. And when people see me in the street or in the mall, wherever, they expect exactly that. And I give them that all the time. But unfortunately, I was talking about it the other time with my partner that, you know, I get home, I'm so exhausted. And I'm that father who, when people are asking my kids, say, how's your father? Is he funny at home? Papa? Never. Because I'm never funny at home. I need to be a father. They're not my friends. I'm responsible for them.
Yeah.
Probably not responsible for everybody else, but Bona Ekochai, I have to be able to do so to make sure that I'm good. But then I'm slowly thinking about it. Well, no, maybe it's unfair on them at the same time, right? But I chose this. So when I go there and I'm on Clement, I've got energy. I'm gonna move here to another meeting. I'm on energy. When I get home, I'm like, should I just sleep?
Yeah.
I just want to get into my room.
You're exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. How do you? So how do you manage that with? Because I mean, as someone who's well known, people come to you, they ask for pictures, they expect you to be funny. So in moments when you are maybe not in the mood, or how do you manage that?
I enjoy my own company. Yeah, and I do love my TV. I can watch it until it's ready at the back. I'm a big consumer of television and radio and all that. So when I don't feel great, I stay at home. I do not want to, translate that to other people out there, my negative energy. And I know that people will come to me with that energy and I'm not feeling okay. So I'll rather stay at home and calm myself down and be okay and then get out when I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
I think that's what I do. I don't know if it's wrong or right, but it worked for me.
It works for you. Would you ever consider other roles? Are you always, is comedy the one thing that you just enjoy doing?
In fact, to be blunt, comedy is not even something that I chose.
Yeah.
It's my teachers at school at the Magwenya Laboratory, people like Robert Coleman, who recognized my comic timing and stuff like that, and then they got me into it. Comedy, what it did for me, it got me known, it got me paid, so that I can be able to take care of my family and all that, and then it became that, and I worked with it because it became that. But I was never trained as a comedian. I was trained as an actor. I've done dramatic roles, and I mean there are more roles that are coming up soon that people are going to see a different me. But comedy is just home. I just love entertaining people. I like making people laugh. I like making people forget a bit about their problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tale, you're calling us from Middlelands. Good morning.
Oh, yes, Nkosi.
Where do you get these people, Clement?
They're calling us.
Where do you get these people, Clement?
They're calling us.
This is Tale Mutsipe. Tale Mutsipe used to be administrator at the Magwenya Laboratory. For me to get into Magwenya Laboratory, it was because of this man who came to Negro years back when I was a young man. Once we were a student at Verse at the time, when you came to teach us some stuff at Negro. And you called me to the Magwenya Laboratory. I owe you tons.
As a child.
You saw me as a child. I saw as a child. And that was the play you did with me. I saw as a child. Oh, Bratali.
I had to call in, Fanagit, Clement.
Yeah.
If there's any guy who understood his purpose right from the beginning, it's him.
Wow.
Oh, man.
He actually said, the education I'm going through is not serving my purpose. And my purpose is to be on stage and interact with the audience directly. And he said, I'm quitting. Please talk to Gogo. I'm quitting and I'm not going to be useless. And there he is.
Wow.
Congratulations, Panamam.
Thank you very much, Brother. I really appreciate this. And it is so true what he's saying. I really didn't even do my trick all day. I walked. And I was like, my mother was not impressed. And I walked. It was Sifiso Zikubu and it was Tale Mutsipe were like, we'll support you whichever way. Right? Even if the first flat I stayed in Hillbrow, it was Pratale's flat. And I remember I used to pay 200 rand a month with my friend Semu Fuking. It was 400 rand a month. We used to have a good time. Thank you very much, Pratale.
Pratale, thank you so much for your call. All right, here's Hulukile by Tepotsola. It's also one of your favorite songs.
One of my favorite songs.
Yeah, what does it mean to you?
A lot. In the past few years, one has lost a lot of people. Lost my older brother, lost my younger brother, I lost my older sister, lost my friend Olile last year, lost my friend Usiabonga this year. So you get to a point when you feel like, kind of what's long? But then you remember, this life is borrowed. It's God who's responsible for our lives. I don't even know when I'm going to be gone. But for now, because I'm still here, Zoba sharp.
Yeah.
Zoba great.
Why is this radio now? Please ask Ukeni Makenzo there. This clip, Uzoba Grand, Sizovuka, Sizoba right. Was that in the script, or did they just say to him, okay, in this scene, we want you to show that you are hopeful about your guys' lives? Because I always find with actors, they underplay how much of their own dialogue they bring to something, because you told what the plot is and what the scene is about, but it's up to the actor to give it words. Did he give the scene words?
Well, it was written in English, firstly.
Yeah.
So obviously I needed to translate it and make it feel good for me and feel right for the actor who I was working with at the time, who was Presley. So there was a contribution coming from me, but it was in the script. The fact that you will be okay, man. You know, I could have said, you'll be okay, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know, we lost who, but guess what? We're here. But then we needed to give it that, the character. You needed to give it the oomph that it has.
Yeah.
But it was in the script. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not that brilliant.
Ah, please, you are. You gave it live.
I gave it live. I guess that's what it is. Yeah.
You gave it that oomph.
Did Anela just call me?
Yeah, she sent a voice note now.
Hey, Nelly. And the clap.
Here's actually the clip in case you haven't heard it, because everybody is talking about this clip. Listen to this.
So sharp, sizovuka fi uyakhumbula ngesikhathi skamavusana nophethe babaphahaza noma siyo kodwa savuka fi sathola upostini sathola uphusha sama-grand savuka sizoba-grand.
That's it. That everybody, and you can, I mean, it really gives hope.
Yeah, it does. It was a very emotional one. It was after, we've lost some of our friends, me and Nkosi. It was just me and him, right? And Nkosi was the guy, the steering, and I was the older guy who was not as smart. You know, I remember he was like poking me on my face like this, on my forehead, and telling me, "Wow, man, just go. Everybody's gone, so go." And I was like, "No, dog. Me and you are still together here. We'll be okay. We'll get more other people and we'll continue with our struggle."
More WhatsApps on 072 702 and 702.
Hey, Brother Clement, thank you for bringing that legend to studio, man. The first time I met Brother Kenneth was at Newtown. You know, I used to stay in Newtown in one of the flats that side near Junction Mall. He'd be chilling there randomly on a random Friday in J with friends and, you know, see them having fun and whatnot. But great guy, man, great legend. Thank you. Sepono from Mirrorlands.
Clement Dumela with Internet Kenneth Nkosi. Kenneth, we just want to say you are a living legend.
Oh, man.
No one must tell you otherwise. You've embraced our screens for many years, and even today you're still relevant. I think the last show that I saw that you did was the what Christmas holiday, something like
Disaster
that along those
holiday.
lines.
Disaster.
You everything you touch seems to have the funny side of it. One thing that I want to know is your friendship with Rapulana Sipemo. Where did it all start? Thank you.
Well, with Rapulana, we actually met at the market. You know, he just came back from Texas, I think. He was studying there, and he was hanging around at the market, and I met him, and I always admired him because he studied before me, way before me with My Children, My Africa and all that. And we started having these conversations, and we got hired together in Sidingo the following year, 1998. We started working together. And then we realized there's something that we like doing together, which was traveling and having fun. We moved from Swaziland to Lesotho, from Lesotho to Botswana and all that. We forged a nice, beautiful relationship. And we also got very close because of the work that we wanted to create, which is why we created Your White Weddings, or Your Paradise Stop, and other Mzansi programs and stuff like that, because we just enjoyed each other's company. And that's why it was.
Clement, Plumilil Ankele Agara, Pila family Arona.
Oh man.
Nkosi and the Malindisas.
Oh man. Muzi.
Buali Muzi.
Uncle,
big up.
I'm sure Uber is an Uber driver.
Yeah.
He's somewhere. He's listening to me. Love you, Mr. Malindisa. Love you, Ntwana.
Beautiful. What do you still want to do?
There's a whole lot that I want to do in my life. I haven't stopped. Number one, I promised myself that I will start directing by the age of 50. But instead of directing at the age of 50, I started dancing. I had these Instagram moves.
You started dancing at 50?
Yeah. I started dancing a lot because I was celebrating it. I was celebrating. Guess what? Let me tell you. When I was 49, you know, at 11:30 p.m., and I could not sleep, because I really wanted to see myself at 50. I couldn't sleep. And when the clock went to midnight and I was 50, and I told myself every Friday I am going to dance. I called it Friday Moves on Instagram, and I danced throughout the year. That's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to celebrate the 50 years because guess what, Clement? There's a whole lot of people that were in Barra with me at the same time with my mother when I was born that are not here anymore. So I'll rather enjoy this as much as I possibly can.
Are you a good dancer?
I'm fabulous. I'm amazing.
Really?
I'm stunning. Clement, I've seen your dance moves.
You can beat me at dancing?
Come on, Clement.
I can do a challenge with you now. I'm good.
You can challenge me now. I mean, let me give you my dance moves.
Let's get Karabo to come here. We'll post a video.
Let me give you my dance moves.
Let's see who's much
my
better.
Friday moves. Come on.
Kenneth, thank you so much, man, for coming through. We wanted to appreciate you. We don't want you when you are gone and we start talking about the amazing work you've done. And this is just us getting to know you and saying thank you for your contribution in the arts and for your brilliance.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me here. Cool. And I want to repeat what Mam Lilian said. You're good, man. You're good, man.
I'm good at dancing, and I'll show you just now.
See about that one. See about that one.
It's going to 3 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Some moments are personal. Some spaces are professional. All of them deserve care. At Frond and Filigree, we create handcrafted floral experiences for life's meaningful moments and the places where they happen. From birthdays and anniversaries to hotels, offices and events, our bespoke arrangements are designed with artistry and intention. Because when flowers are done right, they elevate every moment. Visit frondandfiligree.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Fuel prices go up, let's just say an average of R7. We'll start to see the impact on food price inflation and everything else probably within a month.
Most certainly, already in the April CPI figure, you will see how fuel inflation on a month-on-month basis could be as high as over 20%. That will raise headline inflation initially, but we're also very concerned about the second round impact. So how much does that really get passed on to the consumer?
Koketso Mano is a senior economist.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Trade powers Africa's growth, and businesses that succeed are those able to manage risk, optimize liquidity, and move confidently across markets. ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking helps enable your trade flows for growth. ABSA is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
All right, so coming up after the news, we're going to start with our Thursday dialogue. And today we're going to reflect on what's been happening around Justice Khampepe. Remember, I said to you earlier on that this is the person who has been chairing a commission that is meant to figure out whether or not there was political interference in the prosecution of TRC cases. There are now issues with the work she has done before when she was still with the TRC Commission or working with the NPA, according to Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, the former president. So where does this leave the commission and where does this leave her? Because even President Cyril Ramaphosa has come out to say, whatever the judgment is, I'm going to comply with it. In fact, we now learn that the president has even asked her to resign, but she refused. So that's one of the issues we're going to discuss. We'll also talk about that CAF's decision. A lot of you had questions yesterday that I myself couldn't respond to. So I've invited Patrice Motsepe, spokesperson, to come and speak to us. We're also going to be joined by a journalist in Senegal who will tell us what the Senegalese people and how they're responding to that decision. That's all coming up after the news at 11 o'clock. And this Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. As the Madlanga Commission moves to scrutinize the bank records of Police Sergeant Nkosi, evidence leaders have reminded him that his testimony cannot be used in a criminal trial. This is in line with legislation around testimonies at commissions of inquiry, as is considered compelled evidence. But this excludes cases where witnesses are being pursued for perjury and their testimony can be used to prove they lied under oath before a commission. Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson says today's questions may lead to situations where Nkosi may have to make self-incriminating testimony.
Where I indicate the answer to a question may be incriminatory, if you choose to answer it, whatever you say cannot be used against you in a criminal trial. But if you believe that your answer may incriminate you, you are also entitled to say, I elect not to answer that question because I have a privilege against self-incrimination.
Commission Chairperson Boiseli Madlanga says that privilege does not extend to disciplinary measures that may be taken by Nkosi's employer.
We are taking the view that this protection does not extend to issues relating to disciplinary matters, but do not translate to the criminal process and criminal proceedings.
A man accused of killing two Mamelodi cousins will return in court today for further investigations. 22-year-old Tiamo Moromacha and 21-year-old Baliseng Moromacha were found on the side of the street with gunshot wounds not far from where they lived in October last year. 38-year-old Tebogo Mnisi allegedly shot the women and another victim, a man who survived the attack. Jabuli Lembata reports.
It is alleged the young women were walking with another man from a night out when they were shot dead. 22-year-old Tiamo Moromacha was allegedly romantically involved with Mnisi. The suspect was arrested shortly after the attack and he chose to abandon his bail application. The families of the deceased have shared their frustration over the postponement of the matter. During Tebogo Mnisi's last court appearance, the state said there were documents that were outstanding, including hospital records and J88 post-mortem reports. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
Western Cape Police are preparing to select contingents of officers with SANDF members for drills in crime hotspots. Police say these exercises are in preparation for the Army's deployment in the Cape soon. The two-day operation includes an air and ground presence. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the Army will serve as force multipliers for the police in efforts to clamp down on gang and gun violence and illegal mining. Camray Clark reports.
SAPS in the Western Cape says this operational scanning
exercise should not be mistaken for the actual start of the deployment of the SANDF. More than 2,000 soldiers have been deployed to help fight crime in all 9 provinces. Police management says the operational exercise currently underway is essential preparation for the integrated forces ahead of the actual deployment. Soldiers are expected to maintain a presence in various crime hotspots in the Western Cape. The details of the rollout have not yet been announced. Camray Clark, Eyewitness News.
And a public hearing in China has heard that safety measures failed on the day of a devastating blaze which tore through a housing complex in Hong Kong. Last year, a high-rise apartment complex caught alight, killing 168 people. A safety panel conducting the hearing says the scar is hard to forget on the city's collective memory. The committee collected more than 1 million documents, including testimony from residents, building workers and firefighters. The blaze is considered the world's deadliest residential building fire since 1980. Gold is trading at $4,838.24 an ounce. The rand is at 16.99 to the dollar, 22.54 to the pound, 19.49 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $111.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Kyalami Estate. This is along the R55. An accident has been reported along this route right after Main Road, causing heavy traffic volumes. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 South just as you come out of the Baklu interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, as the Madlanga Commission moves to scrutinize the bank records of Police Sergeant Nkosi, evidence leaders have reminded him that his testimony cannot be used in a criminal trial.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanbonani. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. It's time for our Thursday dialogue.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's Walk the Talk on 702.
Two important issues we're dealing with on our Thursday dialogue this morning. This first 30 minutes, we are going to chat to a number of people about what's currently happening around Justice Khampempe. And then just after 11:30, I'm going to bring in Patrice Motsepe's spokesperson. I'm going to bring in a journalist in Senegal as well, because some of you have had questions about where to from now after that decision by the CAF's appeal board on Senegal and stripping Senegal of its title as the AFCON champions and handing that over to Morocco. So that's what's coming up just after 11:30. But right now we start our conversation about what's been unfolding around Justice Khampempe and the commission that she has been chairing, which is looking on whether there was political interference in the prosecution of TRC case. It's actually quite unbelievable that 30 years later, there's still no accountability emanating from the outcome of the TRC. At some point, TRC commissioners had to write a letter to the president asking why government has failed to implement the recommendations of the commission. And I mean, really, the failure of the NPA to prosecute these TRC-related crimes remains a sore point for the many families and struggle activists who died at the hands of apartheid security forces. And that's why people have asked themselves questions about whether the ANC has struck a deal with the National Party. These conspiracies then come because there are no answers. Vusi Pikoli, who was the head of the NPA, has said before that there were certain members in the Mbeki administration who apparently tried to block the prosecution of apartheid-era atrocities. Why would they do that? Why would there be people who understand the injustices of that system, who understand the atrocities, and yet they still want to block the prosecution of these cases? Why? And now there was a chairperson to chair this commission that's going to look into this matter, and now that chairperson may be out because the former presidents, Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma, have alleged that Khampempe's background on the TRC and the National Prosecuting Authority creates a material conflict of interest. They've gone to court and they've argued that she cannot fairly preside over an inquiry into a process in which she was directly involved. The current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, has also said, I will abide by whatever judgment that comes out. He has also indicated he asked Justice Khampempe to step down, but she refused. So let's start this conversation with Mzwanele Manyi, who is with the Jacob Zuma Foundation. He's the spokesperson there, and I'll bring in Minister Thembisi Melani, who really speaks on behalf of the families. In fact, her family herself was affected, her own sister. And she'll tell us what their response is. I'll bring in Yasmin Suka, who is a former TRC commissioner as well. Mr. Manyi, let's start with you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your viewership. You've done such an excellent summary. I don't even know why we even need to discuss.
Well, I wonder where... I'm trying to understand that from just as the Jacob Zuma... you speaking on behalf of the former president, Jacob Zuma, what is he most worried about? Because when you look at the record of Justice Khampempe, this is someone who has a good record in the judiciary. Are there certain cases far from, of course, her role at the time in the TRC? Are there other issues that concern the former president that have pushed him to say, this woman can't chair this commission?
Yeah, no, if you were to just give me an uninterrupted 2 minutes, then I'll give you a quick breakdown. Firstly, there are about 4 or 5 issues that are at stake. First is the issue of the TRC, which you have articulated. In TRC, where she was part of, there are 2 things that the TRC had to do. One is to grant amnesty or to refuse amnesty. Now that the question is on the table, it cannot be the same person that was involved in those decisions that now decides that granting or not granting was right or wrong. So that's the first thing. So this is just on that, and that alone should have been enough to say, not you, ma'am, somebody else who was not involved. Secondly, she was also in the NPA. This is the institution that failed to prosecute. Not only was she in the NPA, she was the second in charge in the NPA. So you can't get any higher than that unless you are the main boss, as it were. So she is part of the institution that failed to prosecute. Now, who is it that must now come and interrogate that? How can you, when you have failed to do stuff, and then you be the first one now to say you want to bring people to account, when in fact you should be the first one to be called in as a witness in this commission to account for your role in the TRC, to account for your role in the NPA as it were, not the other way around. Also, along with the NPA, recently we've seen Advocate Bulelani Nguka making some submissions in this commission. Now the question sits with us now to say, okay, when Justice Khampempe looks at Bulelani, who does she see? Does she see her former boss at the NPA, or does she see just a normal witness like others? So that's another issue. That just means that her being there is just not desirable. Then there's also the issues of bias, for instance. If you are President Zuma, particularly, you're sitting with a constitutional court judge that went above the Constitution. The Constitution, Section 35, guarantees the rights of all people. President Zuma was denied the right that is given to criminals. President Zuma was denied the right that was given to murderers. He was not given a right to a trial. He was detained without a trial. he was also incarcerated, and also part of this thing was not even given a right to appeal the sentence. He was not even given a right, was denied the right to even mitigate the sentence by Justice Kampepe, who wrote the main judgment in concurrence with others, but the judgment was hers, as it was. So President Zuma has got a credible apprehension of bias that this person, for whatever reason, does not want me. So if I have to come here and answer for my era as the head of state during those times, I can't answer to this person. We have another Zondo situation here. I can't answer to this person who it looks like there's unfinished business between the two of us for whatever reason.
Okay.
Right. And lastly, the fourth one, which is very, very important, code of conduct. On the code of conduct, there are two legs. The one leg is the leg of coaching, where we've got the whistleblower information that she's been coaching Advocate Siminya in terms of what to say and what not to say as he appears before him because of all his other challenges as well. That's the one thing, which is quite serious, as it were. Second leg, in terms of the code of conduct, the issue of discussing judgments. Judges, everybody would know, you in the media know this, that when you are a judge, you are not in a place to go and discuss judgments in the media and all of that. She's been on various media houses discussing, just trying to justify her unfair treatment of President Zuma. So she's been discussing that judgment over and over in different news stations, as it was. So,
but to be fair, she's just been reflecting on that, Mzanele. She's not going into the details about. I mean, I've interviewed the former Chief Justice Mogoeng, for instance, and I've asked him about his reflections now that he's retired on the Nkandla judgment, because it was a seminal judgment. I mean, you're not asking, who said what between the justices. You're just trying to get a sense from this chief jurist what actually were the thoughts at the time. Were there any concerns about where the country would go when they're retired? That's what we do with everybody else.
Well, this is for the Justice Commission to decide. We are saying the code does not have this elaborate explanation that we're giving. The code just says, do not discuss judgments which were either part of or not even part of. Judgments just don't discuss. But if you are Clement, you are saying, no, but, maybe you must go and be a witness or something.
Zanele Manyi, let me thank you. Thank you so much for coming through. He speaks on behalf of the former President Jacob Zuma. I want to bring in Minister Thembisi Melani now, who also has a sister who also died during that time, and also is part of the families that have, for over 30 years now, have waited for justice and none has come. Minister Simelani, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to Mzanele and Yasmin and the listeners.
As families of the victims, I mean, you already have waited so long without justice, and then the commission comes. There was probably a bit of hope that you're going to understand whether there was interference. And now, because of this court action and what the president has said, there's delays and interruptions to the work of this commission. What are your reflections of what's going on right now?
Well, let me just take you back and say, for us as families, we've pushed the state from day one after we handed over our TRC amnesty judgments. Our first push, I went in court in 2007-8 with the Kalata widows to strike down a policy regulation which has been put by government, voted by parliament in the absence of victims. We won. And that is what led, assumably, to why Siminya would be accused, will be requested to be accused. Because we faced Siminya, 5 women faced Siminya on behalf of the state that was defending the policy which was going to be unfair against the state. In fact, if there's anyone who must ask for the recusal of Siminya, possibly thinking there could be some doubt, it's me. And I haven't. Because I understand that that case is long closed and that was found to be unconstitutional and was thrown out of court. But fine, be that as it may. Secondly, these allegations that are being tested today have been in submission in a court of law in Nkadimeng in 2015. That's me. This allegation, President Zuma and President Bek are not hearing it on the appointment of Kampempe in May 2025. No, they should have challenged that affidavit, which was attached and openly spoken about in the case of Nkadimeng against the state in 2016. 2016 to 2025, Zwanele was good, had no issues that Piccoli, when I was taking the state to court, that you did not play your part in the investigation and subsequent arrest for the murder of my sister. That affidavit is what stands in the inquiry today. The President Ramaphosa did not wake up and deal and appoint an inquiry. From that 2016 to 2025, as families who have been knocking on every door, including President Ramaphosa's door, to say we have been not treated right, justice has not been served. Until we decided to lay a constitutional damages, because that's the only remedy we have remaining. Constitutional damages, the President, in our agreement with our legal, was to say, let me rather then, though I do not say you have no right for constitutional, but let me investigate the claim. When was this claim made officially, at least, by Nkadimeng in 2015, 2016? Let me deal with the recusal. I'm not a lawyer and I don't have an interest on that. I'm a family member who have lost a loved one. And I believe both President Thabo Mbeki, whether commission or no commission, inquiry or no inquiry or campaign, owe us at least an apology. At the beginning, for starters, the decency to just say, at the time we were at the helm, what was supposed to be done was not done. Now the inquiry is saying, were you deliberately in action or not in action? I do not believe that Judge Kampempe is there's a possibility of bias, and we've put it in court in our papers. Even the period that the inquiry is looking at, she was no longer in either the TRC or even the NPA. But let's leave that to the outcome of the court. We have all placed our best senior counsels to argue on behalf of the commission, to argue on behalf of us as victims. But what history will go down having marked is that my sister Nokuthula lies in an unmarked grave to date. And there were 3 presidencies that ran into that process and did nothing. Even from a mere assignment of proper investigators, they did nothing. Whether that needs Kampempe to say it in a written paper or not, or to say it anywhere else, I am saying the Kalatas today don't have a full explanation what happened to their loved ones. I appreciate that the department is trying to investigate now hurriedly, of course, stay the state investigation. But Judge Leroux in 2008, in the judgment I'm talking about, compelled the state and said you carry the responsibility to investigate these cases and bring everybody to book. 2008. Today it's 2026. We're playing cat and mouse over our families' graves on who should have done that, who should have pressed that. They can put you, Clement, I don't mind. I will put the papers I put in 2016. I will tell you now that I still don't have a grave of my sister. We'll ask the NPA to bring its investigation and how did it was compelled to charge. So Mzwanele can't say anything that I will understand, or anyone can say anything that I will understand. We were left to failure. In fact, the way we've even been treated was the state had hoped We will not have money, of course, because they were saying we have a door for private prosecution. How will we private prosecute when we don't have money?
Exactly.
But two, they thought we will die. These matters will be buried just like our loved ones, wherever they are, can never be found and be forgotten.
I mean,
it's a pity.
Yeah.
We are here today.
It is. The fact that there's so much pressure that had to be applied is just unbelievable. Minister Thembisa Melani, thank you for also coming through with your view here. I'm going to bring in Pumelo Zikalala in a moment, who's a legal analyst. But first, let's start with Yasmin Suka, who is the former commissioner at the TRC. Thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to you and your listeners.
What you, at some point as the former TRC commissioners, you wrote to President Cyril Ramaphosa. This is a few years ago already. I remember you said, what's going on? Why are we not seeing the prosecutions? And here we are. They've been forced to get to this point where there's going to be even a commission. And now there are delays. And we've got these former presidents who are saying, Justice Kampempe is conflicted and the president hasn't even protected her. He's taken a position that, well, whatever they decide in the court, he will take because he did ask her to step down. What do you think is going on here?
Well, remember that I and many of my colleagues, including the late Archbishop, wrote to the president in 2019. And I think at that point, we asked him to intervene. And we talked about the fact that, what we were seeing with the families of victims is that many of them were, in fact, getting quite old. More than that, you had many perpetrators who were passing away. And, of course, the prospect of them receiving answers from these perpetrators was rapidly evaporating. And at that point already, we said that he needed to intervene. And, of course, in the subsequent years, right up until last, I think 2024, we wrote to him and we placed on record how dismal the record of the NPA and the SAP were, in terms of both investigations and prosecutions. And of course, in many of the cases, because there were no prospects for prosecutions, our clients reluctantly had to accept inquest. And at the end of it, they were quite dissatisfied. And so we asked the president, I think in 2025, to set up a commission of inquiry, which would actually look into this question of why nothing had happened over a period of 30 years. And we also said that that commission's mandate should really explore who was actually responsible for that situation. Was it the NPA? Was there political interference, as was being alleged? Was it the lack of capacity? And, the lack of investigators and prosecutors. I think we set out quite comprehensively what should be in terms of reference for such a commission of inquiry. And of course, as is with the president, we heard nothing. And that then forced us, together with 25 families, to launch an application in the High Court, which resulted in this commission of inquiry being established. And I think it's absolutely absurd when you look at what's happening, that you've had this 30-year hiatus, right? So victims' rights have been compromised not just once, but they've been compromised by the democratic state and its institutions. And now you have two very powerful men using the courts to actually say that this judge shouldn't be sitting on this commission. And they're joined by a third person, the president of our country, who in fact appointed Judge Kampepe, and who actually has the gall, I think, to say on his papers that if he had known that Judge Kampepe had sat on the TRC Commission, or in fact had been the deputy director of the NPA, he would not have appointed her. Now, for me, that's absurd, as it will be for many South Africans. Her CV is on all of the political websites.
It is.
It's on the judge's website. It's very clear to see. How could he have not done an investigation into this?
In fact, they didn't even need to investigate. They should have just looked at the CV.
Yeah. But as Tembeka Nkatobi said in court yesterday, this is so much about character assassination. And when you look at the fact that they are using procedural arguments to
Yeah.
keep themselves out of appearing before the
Yeah.
commission.
Yeah.
They haven't complied. Rule 47 requires that if you intend to litigate against a judge, whether that judge is an active one or is retired, they are entitled to have, the JP of the country notified
Yeah.
that this is going to be happening.
Yeah, Yasmin Suka, let me thank you there for also bringing your voice in here. Former TRC Commissioner Mpumelelo Zikalala is a legal analyst. Mpumelelo, thank you so much for also your time. Do the former presidents have a strong case here?
Good morning to you and also to your listeners. I would say no. Maybe let's go back to what the court will state. The court will then say, if you are going to say there's an element of biasness which is going to be there, then you must be able to demonstrate there's a reasonable apprehension of bias. Now, it doesn't mean that if you think that this person doesn't like me or they know too much info, then probably they won't rule or won't be objective in the manner in which they do things. The second part of it, we're dealing with a judge and not a lay person, a very experienced one at that, a person who has been able to separate fact from her personal attributes or personal feelings. And there's no real evidence that you're going to be able to show because there's no final report in which you'll then be able to say this evidence was not presented. However, due to you having intimate knowledge of the evidence, you've included it in your final report. So as of now, for a lack of a better word, with all due respect, it is just pure speculation that are there to say maybe this is what you are going to rule. Let alone the one important question of saying, what are you scared of if this person sits and listens and takes a decision? What type of evidence are you going to provide which you think they are not going to be able to adjudicate or deal with in a proper manner, in a manner in which a judge will be able to do so? So for me, it's the reasonable apprehension of bias which I'm not able to see. And if we look at the last case that took place at the Constitutional Court, the standard for biasness was sort of reduced a bit. So to say, the apprehension of bias is then reduced to such an extent that you have to show real tangible evidence as to the level of conflict which is there, which I didn't see that being presented yesterday by the former president.
Sure. It's going to be really fascinating to see how the judge will rule on this matter, having considered all those arguments. Mpumelelo Zikalala, thank you for coming through. He's a legal analyst. It's 11:30. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Ingiswa, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. As the Madlanga Commission moves to scrutinize the bank records of Police Sergeant Nkosi, evidence leaders have reminded him that his testimony cannot be used in a criminal trial. This is in line with legislation around testimonies at the commissions of inquiry, as is considered compelled evidence. But this excludes cases where witnesses are being pursued for perjury and their testimony can be used to prove they lied under oath before the commission. The Cape Crime Crisis Coalition says intensified policing fails to address recruitment of young boys into gangs. This after two boys aged 16 and 19 were shot and killed, while a 12-year-old girl and 63-year-old woman were also wounded in a shooting last night. And the IFP has secured an outright majority in the Nongoma local municipality in KwaZulu-Natal. The party won 2 wards from the NFP during by-elections. This brings the total number of its seats to 23 out of the 45 in council, meaning the IFP can now have full control of the municipality. Those are the headlines this EWN, and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N12 East, we've got a major accident scene reported right on the N12 East near Barber Road, causing heavy delays coming out of Graft Road. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is just as you head towards Bedford View. That's due to roadworks that are taking place along this route. There's also an accident causing delays along the M2 West. This is between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. While traveling in Kyalami, we still have got that accident scene on the R55. It is right after Main Road. It is slowing down traffic. And then traveling in the city of Tshwane, please do remember that we've got roadworks taking place along the R80 South, approaching the hairpin bend, causing some issues there. More traffic updates coming up at the top of the hour with Karabo Jale. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's dissatisfied with Minister on Special Leave Senzo Mkhunu's decision to disband the Political Killings Task Team without informing him.
So why doesn't he fire him? So if the President is saying to us that he's dissatisfied with the reasons given by suspended Minister Senzo Mkhunu for the scrapping of the PKTT, then fire the oak. Don't say anything. If indeed the whole issue is that, no, you are following due process and policy and laws.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Safety begins in our homes, our streets, and our communities. Government is working to ensure that every person in South Africa feels safe. Based on the President's commitment during the State of the Nation address, the South African National Defence Force is being deployed to support the South African Police Service in crime prevention operations across selected areas in Gauteng, Western Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, and the Northwest. Their role is to support the South African Police Service to protect communities and strengthen safety where it matters most. Fighting crime needs all of us. If you see criminal activity, speak up. Report it to your nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 0800 10 111. Working together for a safer South Africa. A message from the Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS.
There's always one oak. The one oak who's got it all. Proper chair, proper bribe, backup light, extra wood, cooler that actually keeps ice iced. Now's your chance to be that oak. Join us this Easter for Chamberlain's superb Easter saving from 19 March to 6 April. Grab the 10-coat camping chair for just 449 Rand and gear up properly for a lekker long weekend. Plus, enjoy 10% off paint mixing on Chamber Value and Finest 1903 paints. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Some holidays give you the beach. Some give you the bush. What if one destination gave you both? This July, a world-first travel experience arrives in KZN with the opening of Club Med South Africa Beach and Safari Resort. To celebrate, 702 and Club Med South Africa are giving you the chance to win an all-inclusive beach getaway for two worth 70,000 Rand. Are you ready to experience the ultimate escape with Club Med? Tune in to 702 Afternoons with Relebohile Mabocha, weekdays between 1 and 3 p.m. to find out how to enter Club Med South Africa Beach and Safari Resort on 702. T's and C's and more on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
It's 24 minutes before 12 o'clock. Before we get to our next conversation about what happened at CAF, let's just get some of your reaction to the conversation we had around Justice Kampembe.
Clement, you know what the thing is? With respect to this TRC thing, the real true issue with it is that it was not limited to the people that went to the TRC hearing. There was a very large swathe of the community that didn't trust the democratic process, almost as if it was enemies trying to draw people out into the open so they can identify all of them and then keep them later. So I think it's already problematic that we've already sort of looked at apartheid in a very linear way, almost as to say the rest of the 40 million people that were in South Africa, the vast majority of those did not suffer under apartheid in one way or the other, which then leads or begs the question, how do you not just heal the 22,000 that went to the TRC, but also actually the vast majority who are still living through that period 30 years into peacetime?
Clement Manyathela, good day. Clement, we've all known and we've always known that the ANC, leadership is nothing but a bunch of askaris. These guys sold out to the apartheid government long time ago. You will never hear the Israelis or the Jews saying the Nazis should not be prosecuted. But that's the case in South Africa. It's the Jews protecting the Nazis. It makes absolutely no sense. These guys sold out long time ago. Thank you.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
All right, 22 minutes now before 12 o'clock. We change tack now and focus on the conversation we started yesterday around the decision of the Confederation of African Football Appeals Board. Remember, Senegal, which lifted the AFCON trophy in Morocco, has now been stripped off that trophy, and this comes after the CAF Appeals Board declared Senegal guilty of misconduct, ruling that the final match was forfeited, and they awarded that Morocco a 3-0 victory. And this ruling stems from Morocco's appeal, which challenged Senegal's conduct during the final clash. Remember when they walked off the pitch for about 10-15 minutes to protest that controversial stoppage time penalty awarded to Morocco during the final match. So CAF, the appeals board, has found Senegal's actions violated Article 82 and Article 84 of the AFCON regulations. And I read those specific articles to you yesterday. Some of you had questions that I myself can't respond to. So I've decided to really invite some people who can maybe respond to those questions. Lux September is a CAF senior official who also works in the office of the CAF president, Petrus Motsepe, joining us on the line. Mr. September, thank you for making time. Good morning.
Clement, finally I crack an invite to your show, mate.
No, thank you so much for making time for us. I'll bring in Dennis Mumble as well as we continue the chat. But let me start with you, Lux. First of all, how does Petrus Motsepe feel, the CAF president, about this decision? I saw the video that he had, released a statement, how he respects the integrity of the appeals board. But I also know he's previously raised some concerns about just the trust issues and questions over the integrity of CAF. Does he think this ruling now makes that worse or better?
Yeah, look, Clement, first of all, there are two decisions here. One is the decision of the disciplinary committee, which was made about 3 weeks ago, which had ruled completely different, by the way. The second one is an appeal. Obviously, there was an appeal process of the CAF disciplinary committee body, which was made by the CAF appeals board. And both these decisions have got zero to do with Petrus Motsepe. He doesn't sit at the CAF disciplinary committee. He doesn't sit at the CAF appeals board. Actually, I think the decision last night, he got it the same time as me, as you. Not necessarily you, but same as everyone, most of the people at CAF, which obviously clearly underscores that there is a clear separation of the processes at CAF. There's the administration, there is the executive, which is led by him, and there is the judicial. And within a space of 3 weeks, the two judicial arms of CAF have produced two different decisions about the same matter. That shows the independence of the process. Actually, that is Dr. Petrus Motsepe's, DNA. That if there is an independent process, he allows the independent process to take its course. He's the president. The people, the judge, the High Court judge from Nigeria, who was the judge of the appeals court. I don't even think the president has met him before. He is a completely different individual. He's set separately there. The disciplinary committee. One, also, the president of CAF does not select the people who sit in these structures, nor does he get involved with these decisions. Now, if you want to look at independence, look at the fact that the two structures of the same organization take two different decisions within a space of 3 weeks. Now, the CAF president was very clear yesterday. He said, because he's been informed that Senegal wants to appeal the decision to CAF, the Court of Arbitration of Sport, and he has completely encouraged Senegal to do that without CAF getting involved. The CAF, I know everyone, when they say CAF appeals board, they think there's a clear blurring of lines on this. But, if anyone has ever worked with the CAF president and anyone knows him, he knows that, there's a Chinese wall between all these things. Actually, if in any case he was, why would the CAF two bodies produce two different outcomes within a space of 3 weeks? Now, it shows the complete independence. How does he feel? I don't think it's important what he thinks, how he feels about the matter. What is important, his role in the last 5 years since he took over at CAF, you see what he has turned around African football. The African football of 5 years ago, Clement, nobody wanted to touch it. Actually, CAF, when he came on board, was 4 billion rands in debt. Today, CAF made a profit of over 20 billion rands in the last AFCON. Mm-hmm. It shows that people trust the person who's at the helm. Now, the process itself, what he said also yesterday is that there's still a trust deficit. But it's a historical thing, People know that maybe in the past things were done this way, but that has changed. But of course, justice mustn't just be done. It must also be seen to be done.
Yeah.
100%. And he is fully aware of this position himself, the president of CAF. But, as a trained lawyer himself, he knows that there has to be a clear independence of these processes. Okay. Does he love the decision? I don't think that's important.
Yeah. So I want to ask, how does he then manage that? So justice needs to be seen to be done. I mean, you've got custodians as CAF. Citizens of this continent have placed a lot of respect, a lot of hope towards CAF. What happens when a lot of them are coming out and they say, we don't see justice to be done? I mean, what has happened here may just look bad for CAF. So how do you manage that? Is it a matter of just explaining to people that there are judges, jurists, respected lawyers who sit on that appeals body who have made this decision? It's got nothing to do with us, so you just have to take it, whether you like it or not. Or how do you manage it? And I'm not suggesting here that Petrus Motsepe, as the president, needs to intervene, because then that's interference into those independent bodies. But how do we move forward here? Because there are many people that are upset about this, who feel this is too extreme of a sanction.
Now imagine, Clement, if there was a headline today that says the CAF president met the appeal board and tried to get them to change a certain decision. I think that would be catastrophic to the image of CAF. Catastrophic. But what has happened is that he has kept an arm's length to the process. It's an independent process. Now, if you run an independent process, you don't have to like or dislike or publicly like or dislike the decision. You've got to say there's still another stage, which is a court of arbitration. Because there was a decision which was made 3 weeks ago, which was seen as against Morocco, but there was no outcry, really. There was no Petrus Motsepe interfered on this. There's a different decision which is made 2 days ago. Now, 2 different decisions are made. Both, he maintains the same posture. Let's keep an arm's length. However, I need to tell you something. A month ago, the CAF president called an emergency executive committee meeting in Tanzania, which is the highest decision body outside the Congress at CAF. And he said to them, we need reforms. He has to look at reforms because, and also one of the things he did on that day, he called the head of the referee to come and engage the executive committee members, whereby I think that engagement took 2 hours, which is probably the longest I've seen of any individual, in detail to say, even if you think you are right, there is an issue of perception which we need to change. And I think, I've been at CAF under this leadership of Dr. Motsepe now for the last 5 years. It's the first time in the last 5 years I've ever had anyone question, and I think it's healthy as well, by the way. I think it's completely okay for people to say, I don't like this. But it's also important for people to also understand that the president of CAF cannot interfere in the processes, in the legal processes at CAF. And the day he does so, I think he will know this is not just a Petrus Motsepe,
Like September, let me thank you for making time for us, man. He's a CAF senior official who also works, of course, in the office of the CAF president, Petrus Motsepe. After the break, I'm going to bring in Dennis Mumble, who is the author, former SAFA CEO, you'll remember, but also a former CAF licensing instructor. You can send your thoughts as well, right, on 0727021702. That's the WhatsApp line. Or if you prefer to call us, do so on 011-883-0702, 13 before 12.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
2 tiny little lives, born
joined at the abdomen, sharing vital organs. A medical team in a public hospital in Mangweng, Limpopo, led by one Dr. Nyawelenu Shifalaro. Doctor, take me through the complexity of the procedure.
They were joined at the abdomen, so they've got one liver, so that one liver we had to divide it. Also, there was the containing part of the heart, the cardiac chamber, a bit of the intestine.
What was your indication that this was a job well done?
If you divide them and they are alive and everyone now is living their own life, that's a success.
This happened at a public hospital. Isn't that a good news story, Shadi?
You put us on the map.
This country still has potential, my friends.
Bongani Bengwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
10 minutes before 12 o'clock. Another issue we are discussing on our Thursday dialogue this morning is the decision of the CAF Appeals Board to strip Senegal of its AFCON title, and that's because they found that Senegal was guilty of violating those rules. Remember, Article 82 and Article 84 of the AFCON regulations. We spoke to Lak September, who is a senior CAF official, but also speaks on behalf of Petrus Motsepe. And I want us to bring in Dennis Mumble now. He's an author, he's the former CEO at SAFA, but also a former CAF licensing instructor, joining us now on the line. Dennis, thank you for making time for us as well. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Clement, and good morning to all the listeners out there.
Let me just first get your general reaction to that decision when it came out. What did you think?
Well, I think that the appeal board really overstepped its authority, but it's something that I think needs to be clarified now by the Court of Arbitration for Sport once and for all. Not that it hasn't done so yet. It's ruled in the past that if there's a conflict between two laws, first of all, it will assume jurisdiction over the case and also give a definitive ruling. And in this case, my view is that there's a fundamental contradiction between the rules of the competition, this is the Africa Cup of Nations competition, and the laws of the game. And in this case, my view, and I think many other people have already expressed it, is that the laws of the game would take precedence in the interpretation of what should have been done. Okay. So my view is that the appeal board erred, and so the only way this can be resolved is by way of an appeal through the Court of Arbitration for Sport.
And of
course, already ruled in cases like this.
Yeah, and Senegal has of course already indicated that it's going to be approaching that higher court. I just want to check though, Dennis, when you say they've overstepped their authority, can you just explain to us how you interpret the rules? Because, just yesterday when I was going through the rules myself, Article 82 and Article 84, it does clearly state that if you are going to leave the match, abandon the match, and if you do come back, and maybe the referee decides that we continue with the match, doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to avoid any consequences later on, because if there is a complaint raised, then it can be dealt with. How do you understand the rules, and how did the appeals board, in your view, misunderstand them?
Clement, you see, my starting point is not the rules of the competition. My starting point is the laws of the game. The laws of the game, in my view, are crystal clear. That first and foremost, that match is controlled by a referee. That's Law 5.1. It's controlled by a referee who has full authority to enforce the laws of the games, not necessarily first the competition rules. A lot of that is the responsibility of external bodies outside of that field of play. But during that match, the king of that theater there is the referee. And if that referee has taken a decision, like what he's done in this case here, he's taken a decision which I'm assuming he thinks it was done to the best of his ability according to the laws of the game, because his first port of call is the laws of the game that he is responsible for implementing in order to maintain the spirit of the game. And anything that flows from there cannot be second-guessed by a rule, in this case the competition rule. Now, I understand that this is probably new to many people, but the laws of the game is the universal law of the sport worldwide, whether it's at amateur level or whether it is at a professional level. It is always the laws of the game that must predominate, or that must carry sway here. And my view, the decision of the referee to restart that match is fully in compliance with Law 5 of the laws of the game, where it says that the decisions will be made by the best of the referee's ability according to the laws of the game and the spirit of the game, and will be based on the opinion of the referee, who has the discretion to take appropriate action within the framework of the laws of the game. Now, the referee's decision here, including, I'm sure you read it out yesterday, the result of the match is final. And there is a tradition in football, especially up at the FIFA level and the CAS level, not just in football, but CAS has emphasized this need to understand and to respect the decisions of the referee in any sporting code, for that matter, that CAS will not second-guess the decision of any judge or referee or arbitrator, in the field of play. It has not done that. There have to be exceptional circumstances where they would do that. And so my view is that using the barometer of and the provisions of the laws of the game is that comes first, and then if the rules are interpreted in such a way that it clashes with the laws of the game, then the laws of the game will predominate. And in this case, what is that, Chapter 35 of the rules of the competition, which is Article 82, it says that if a team leaves the ground before the regular end of the match without the authorization of the referee, it shall be considered the loser and shall be eliminated for good from the current competition. Now, you can interpret that in so many different ways, and it's clear that the appeal board here interpreted in a very narrow way without taking into consideration what that referee did in the course of that match. He allowed them to resume because the match, in my view, was not abandoned, and I'm assuming that the appeal board applied the abandonment test here. That match was not abandoned, you see.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, there was a delay. I mean, that's what we were talking about yesterday. I'm really interested to see how the Court of Arbitration is going to rule on this. Did they read it as abandonment? But abandonment is really not coming back. They did come back after about 15 minutes and the referee resumed. Dennis, thank you so much for joining this conversation. I really appreciate it. It's 3 minutes before 12.
You may regret giving your barber permission to surprise you with something different. But with Outsurance Essential Car Insurance, you'll have no regrets covering your older car at a much lower premium. And claims are paid in cash within only 5 working days. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years valued at less than 130,000 Rand. SMS SAVE to 45363. That's SAVE to 45363. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Drivers of Scholar Transport vehicles carry a special duty of care. The lives entrusted to you demand professionalism, discipline, and unwavering responsibility. Every Scholar Transport driver must therefore comply with the following requirements. Assist learners during pickup and drop-off, including ensuring safe crossing at pedestrian crossings where applicable. Under no circumstances may a Scholar Transport vehicle be overloaded. Remain sober, medically fit, and free from any disqualifying convictions or impairments at all times. Every journey is a responsibility. Every child's life matters. Issued by the Department of Transport.
What do you consider amazing? At Lexus, we believe it's experiencing next, now. The Lexus NX elevates every journey with confidence, sophistication. Built for ambitious drivers, modern lifestyles, and families with tomorrow in mind. From its striking design to its efficient hybrid performance, this premium SUV delivers what's next, today. Book a test drive at your nearest Lexus dealership, because next is now. Lexus. Experience amazing. T's and C's apply.
Coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, Clement.
What's popping today?
The ad hoc committee has wrapped up its work now. We had the final witness yesterday. Do you think it's done its job?
So, what was its job? That's where we'd have to begin.
To investigate allegations of capture.
I don't think they investigated anything. But to be fair, they don't have investigative capacity.
Yes.
The Madlanga Commission has. I think we must. I'm trying to look at it as a political platform. Am I happy with everything that's transpired? Not really. I don't like how they treated some of the witnesses, but I think they gave us something. Like Ket Matlala, it was nice to hear from him, even though he wasn't honest.
Yes, I agree with you on all of the above. So we'll be discussing that. Action SA has just released a statement saying that it will investigate after the Madlanga inquiry revealed tender conversations in Tshwane. The president has just started speaking at the News 24 Jobs and Growth Summit, obviously a very important issue. We'll pay tribute to the human rights lawyer Fink Haysom, and our book of the week is from Lord Peter Hain about how liberation movements fall into corruption.
That's what's coming up on the Midday Report just after the news. Thanks for listening to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We're back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Zingisa Chirwa. We begin with news just in. Action SA Tshwane councillor Khulufelo Morodi could be in trouble after evidence that the Madlanga Commission showed her sharing internal tender documents with Gauteng Cop Sergeant Nkosi. Morodi, who's also the MMC for Corporate and Shared Services, WhatsApped Nkosi a document showing bid specifications for land lease tenders. At the time, Nkosi was in touch with a number of officials at the Metro to secure a tender for his brother's company. Nkosi is still before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry probing criminality, political interference and corruption within the police.